This is The Gorge, the podcast where my friend Sara and I gorge ourselves on a topic.
The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge, where for just $5 a month, you gain access to not one, but two entire podcasts. $5 gets you Takeout, a monthly commentary track where Ben and I decide we don't feel like playing anything, so we watch something and talk over it instead, usually to disastrous results, like this most recent one. And $2 gets you like the grab bag of everything else. Any additional content we do that is not Takeout goes into the $2 tier. It's that simple. The quality of that $2 content varies wildly, but it's $2. You know, it's $2. You get a bunch of extra stuff, and there's a ton of backlog of stuff you get for $2 a month. So, you know.
You are smashing the pot, and whatever rupee comes out is yours to keep.
That's right. So yeah, that's patreon.com/thegorge. Kick in however much you can. We appreciate literally everybody who donates. And yeah, thanks a lot. On with the show. Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
We're finally talking about Tears of the Kingdom. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom for the Nintendo Switch. It's been a few weeks since it came out. A few months.
A few weeks. It's been...
Shh. It's been a few weeks, technically.
Technically true. It's been a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's right. See? It's been a little while since it came out, but it's a big video game. So, you know, I wanted to take my time with it until I finally was like, fuck it, I just gotta beat this. And just like bit the bullet and sat down and did it. Yeah, it's a good video. Surprising no one. The Zelda game is good.
Surprising no one of the biggest games of 2017. The sequel of it is even better.
That's correct.
Shocking,
I know. Yeah, so going into this, I will say, I did not play Breath of the Wild. I don't even really know anything about Breath of the Wild. I didn't even watch like a compilation of cutscenes before I played this game, right? So I didn't know anything about Breath of the Wild. I just wanted to play Tears of the Kingdom, right? Because like it looked cool. It had Ganondorf in it, so I cared again. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. Yeah, it's a good video game.
It is funny how little you actually need to know about Breath of the Wild in order to enjoy Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I would say that is probably not entirely in its favor, because it just shows like how inconsequential like all the plot writing in this game kind of is. But at least like the writing in this game is a little bit better than Breath of the Wild, which is, as far as I can tell, mostly just flashbacks.
Yeah. All the major storylines in Breath of the Wild were done mostly through the because you also get the flashbacks like you get in Tears of the Kingdom. They kind of show you what happened, 10,000 years ago,
right?
Or 1,000 years ago in Breath of the Wild. But like and for the most part, you don't get nearly as much like actual happening cutscenes.
Right, yeah, like stuff happening in the present. Yeah, no, and so like, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing in this game. It's a thing. It is a thing that the game did. But like, I really enjoyed Tears of the Kingdom. I think it probably, just in terms of technical competence, is the best game of the year that I've played so far. I think it has the most insane UI any video game has ever had, which kind of keeps it from, at least in my head, being like a 10 out of 10.
So this game kind of recontextualized what a 10 out of 10 means for me. Because for a while I thought of a 10 out of 10 as like a perfect game, right? Which is like, I don't really give number scores wholeheartedly in the first place, but like, I would never give a game a 10 out of 10 because there's always something, right? There's always one little thing. But then thinking about it, I'm like, no. A 10 out of 10 is an A+. And you can get an A+ by doing enough extra credit.
That's true. That's exactly it. This game gets in by just doing a lot of extra credit. Because I think a lot of its stuff individually. Tears of the Kingdom is the perfect game that like is more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
Right? It's
yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
greater than the sum of its parts because like the pieces it's made out of, I'm playing it, I'm like, well, I don't really like this. I don't really like this. And this isn't very good. But then when you put it all, you stick it all together and you step away from the game after you've been playing it for 6.5 hours without coming up for air. You're like, oh, wait, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it does matter. I think this game would be even better. You can improve this game by making
absolutely.
the UI good, right?
Mm-hmm. The fact that we can't favorite or hotbar certain items in our inventory.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the inventory isn't sorted by anything.
Yeah.
Like if I could just sort, like because you press up on the D-pad and it brings up the inventory. Instead of it like organizing them, if I could just pick a category, like okay, I want to see all the food items, I want to see all of the monster parts, I want to see all of the Zonai items. Like that would be fine too.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's all one big list.
Right. It's all just one big messy list, and you can sort by attack power, you can sort by most used, which is the most insane thing you could possibly do, because it means that, like, if there's a thing you want to get, the way you organize your list is to just take out and pick back up the thing you want to be at the top of the list every time.
Mm-hmm.
Which is insane.
Which is baffling.
Baffling. And there's a lot of stuff like that in this game, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
It's not just the UI and all that shit. I mean, that's a big part of it. But, like, there's a lot of little stuff in this game that just that kind of is just weird. But, like, when you put it all together, it's still really good.
Yeah.
It's a weird video game. This video game is the most a video game has been a toy in a long time.
That's a good way of putting it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a toy. Like, there's a lot of neat stuff in it. But the big thing, I mean, the thing you saw everybody doing on Twitter for, like, the month and a half after it came out is that, like, everybody was using it to just build fun stuff. It was a toy. It's like, it's Legos or Kinects or whatever the fuck else.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's way more Kinects than Legos.
Yeah. It's just, like, that's exactly what it is. And you see people just building these insane things. And it feels so much just like a fun toy you can play with forever that also happens to have, like, an interesting open world attached to it.
Yeah. A really fleshed out and involved open world with a lot of exploration and stuff to do. Yeah.
Just amazing, like, how the world is designed. It's part of the reason why I think I've bounced off of Starfield so hard, is that I had the problem of also playing Tears of the Kingdom in the same year, which has that, ooh, what's that factor going on. Tears of the Kingdom's ooh, what's that factor is a lot more obvious, because it's like, hey, that's a shrine in the distance. And then on the way to the shrine, you go, oh, there's 200 other little tiny things in between here and there. Yeah.
Like when it came to like this last week, when I'm like, okay, I got to go and just beat the game. Like I hit a point where I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go gather some resources and I'm going to look into where do I find like the best kind of gear, and like what do I do to upgrade my armor pieces, and what weapons do I need to obtain to kind of make this a little easier on myself. And on the path to get those things, I was like, well, the shrine is right there. I mean, I'm not going to not go do that.
I'm not going to not do that. There is occasionally, I do love this game for just like its little things, like the fact that, you know, those shrines where you have to take the shrine stone to the goatsy hands.
Yeah.
It is. You know, you have to take the stone to like the place where it's supposed to go. You can still fast travel that even without taking the stone to it. And there were multiple times where I was playing this game where I was like on a quest to do something else, and like I saw that, I was like, I'll come back to you. I'm gonna just come back to you. Okay.
I think the worst ones are ones that are inside caves.
Oh god,
because
yeah.
Did you get the detector, like the shrine sense?
Yeah, it's useless.
Yeah, where it's like, oh well, where is it? It's underground. Okay, let's go find the entrance to this cave.
I turned it off after a little while because, like, after a certain point, it's like, okay, well, it's underneath me, and I'm already on a I'm already trekking somewhere else, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, that's a shrine I'm not getting right now. That's a shrine for later. That's what that became. Like, anytime the indicator went off and it wasn't, like, immediately within my eyesight, I'm like, I'll come back for you.
I'll do that later.
Yeah. But, like, insane to me, the number of levels in this video game, right? Speaking of caves, there's so many layers in the video game now.
There are caves and there's the depths.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, there's a whole new, like, as far as I can understand, the caves that are in the main level of the world are pretty new, right? Like, there aren't as many caves in Breath of the Wild, right? Mm-hmm. So there's this whole new cave network that happened because of the upheaval, right? Of Hyrule Castle being rocketed into the air.
Yeah.
And that kind of caused a lot of ground shifting, so new caves emerged, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, there's that. And if they had just done that, that would have been fine, right? Because it's like, okay, there's a whole new...
We have this whole network of underground caves to explore.
Yeah, there's like tons of new stuff underground to explore on top of the world map from Breath of the Wild being dramatically changed, right?
Yeah.
But no, and then like there's the Sky Islands, which is a whole new zone to explore, and that's kind of what they led the marketing with.
Right.
Is going up into the sky, right? You can fly, you can build your funky little contraptions, and just, Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts your way across the world, right?
Right.
They didn't really say anything about the depths in any of the marketing.
No, the depths were a complete surprise.
Yeah, no. I don't think they talked about the... If they did, it was an extreme passing that they talked about the depths.
Yeah, no. These were barely marketed at all, and it's just this entire area.
It's a whole third world map.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a second world map. That's what the Sky Islands are. They built a whole additional world map down there with its own sense of danger and rules, and like is one of the more compelling parts of the video game, right?
Oh, the depths are like my favorite part of the game.
It's insane to me, isn't it?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. They would just here's the map again.
Here's the map again, but it is a degree of pitch black that you can't just stumble your way through, right? Mm-hmm. Like, when I play a really scary video game, sometimes I do the coward thing. I turn the brightness on my screen up really high so I can survive. I'll cop to that. I'll admit to that. Every now and then I get scared and I want the lights on. So I turn the lights on in the video game. Okay?
We very infamously broke our Not a Hero playthrough by having the darkness turned up too high.
That's correct. That's correct. But that was also because we couldn't see what the fuck we were doing. Yeah, that's true. So, like, I'll turn the brightness up, but in Tears of the Kingdom, like, you can turn the brightness up as much as you fucking want. It's not going to brighten the depths.
No, that is shaded with black.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they have done some sort of shader black magic to make sure that you can't see anything except for, like, the vague silhouette of Link's body. Right? It's really impressive. There's a lot of like really beautiful... We'll talk about that in just a second, because this game is very pretty despite its technical limitations. But like, they did some black magic to just make you totally unable to see anything except for like the ominous murky forms of gloom on the side. And like, it's so good because when you are in that degree of darkness, like, your sense of depth goes away. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
After a certain point, you're coasting along and you're just like gliding along in this blackness, hoping to find a foothold or something, right? Mm-hmm. And it's so dark and all you see are those gloom patches. And like, there is that moment of going, well, is that a sheer cliff face that I'm going to smash into and try to climb and fail and fall to my death? Or is this an elevated hill, right?
Yeah.
Like is this a hill that I can walk up?
There were times where I would like, because, you throw down light bloom seeds to, give your thing. There were times where I would throw a seed and it would just go down. And I'd be like, oh, good thing I didn't walk forward.
Oh yeah, I did that all the time. It's like it's that cartoon thing of throwing a rock down a really big hole and waiting for it to hit the bottom, and it never hits the bottom. You're just like, oh, I see. Okay,
okie dokie.
Okie dokie. There's a lot of that in Tears of the Kingdom, and it's really good. There's just so much like tension down there that the top half, like there's some tension in the top half because like things can one shot you. For better or for worse, you get one shot really easy.
But there's like a sense of just like wildlife on the top, right? Where it's just you're going into a bear's territory. It's going to maul you, right? Mm-hmm. But in the depths, it's just different. It's like infiltrating the Baker house.
Yeah, you literally have no idea, like, what's going on, right? You just feel so much more helpless than you would have normally.
You get that delicious ambient music.
The ambient music is so like understated and just kind of, you get that really spooky droning horn the first time you go into like you go into like the hole leading down to the depths. So you really, you just feel like you were entering a totally different world, right?
They could have made the entire game just the depths.
You really could have. There's so much like the only thing is that the depths get kind of boring to look at after a little while, so I'm glad.
Kind of, yeah.
So every now and then, because like after a certain point, and I think that's really smart because.
Well, you almost at some point you almost forget that you can leave.
Yeah, you just because like you're so dedicated to charting the depths that after a while you're like, well, I can stay a little bit longer, and you forget like you kind of have to leave because the really interesting about the depths is there's no source of food down there.
Yeah.
Like, so you have, and like that's really interesting too. There is no source of healing down there, basically at all. I think you can make some food out of some of the mushrooms you find down there, but like not really. I think most of those
are inedible.
Oh, are they all inedible?
Yeah, everything. Okay. The only thing you can use, you use the gloom blobs to make gloom resistant food,
right? But that has to be combined with something.
You have to
edible.
cook it with actual food. Yeah, there's nothing you can. There's no apples. There's no meat. Because none of the gloom infected enemies carry food with them.
Exactly, and like. How cool is that, right? There's no source of healing down there. It's like if you're planning to make a real trip to the depths, you have to like really prepare, right? Yeah.
I think it's also super interesting that the light roots don't heal you like the shrines do. They restore any of your they reactivate your gloom damaged hearts,
right? But
they don't heal them.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have literally no source of healing. It's not exactly like a roguelike or whatever, but it has that same kind of weird feeling of just well, can I keep pushing, right? Can I keep pushing a little bit further? Can I go a little bit further? I know I'm totally out of food, but can I push a little bit further? Right?
I hate that you said that.
Why?
Because now all I'm thinking about is DLC where it's a roguelike and you explore the depths.
Okay, but that actually would be cool, though.
That would be so fucking cool, though, okay?
That actually would be cool, though, and this game is, they already confirmed they're not making any DLC for this game, which sucks.
I know, imagine a pit of 100 trials, but it's a fucking roguelike in the depths where you're like, you're just building up your materials and stuff. Oh, god damn it.
See how cool that would be? You're just going deeper and deeper down into, like you said, 100 levels of something in the depths. That would be so cool. Nintendo, you can have that one for free if you actually do want to put some DLC out for your your massive hit video game.
They said this is gonna be the last game like in this kind of timeline or this thing. It's like just put out one more smaller one that is just a roguelike. Just put out like, Breath of the, Legend of Zelda Link's Trial, and it's just, all it is just a roguelike where you're exploring the depths.
I'm really kind of sad that, like, we aren't getting any kind of plot DLC, because the dragons are they're right there, right?
Yeah.
They're literally right there, and we now have, like, well, how do you become a dragon? Well, you eat your jelly bean rock, right? And it's like, well, can we learn about it? That's such an easy W, Nintendo, and you didn't take it. So it's a little disappointing that this game isn't getting a DLC, because, I would have liked, like you said, like a roguelike or something like that.
This actually has, like, a much better capacity for DLC than I think Breath of the Wild did. Where Breath of the Wild is kind of like, I don't know, motorcycle.
Yeah.
There's a lot more plot in here that you can definitely explore the history behind Hyrule.
Yeah. Or we could, there is, like, the weird implication that this is, like, a split timeline from Breath of the Wild. You could have done something with that. There's so many options.
I think if Nintendo actually acknowledges the timeline in Zelda, then the whole thing falls apart.
That's correct. But this is, like, even if this is its own timeline, which is fine. I am not one of the freaks who care about the Zelda timeline, right? Mm-hmm. But even if you say that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are their own little part, they're their own story shunted off into their own little universe, right? They're an AU. It's AU fan fiction. Mm-hmm. Even still, the events of Tears of the Kingdom kind of make it into a diverging timeline of Breath of the Wild itself, right?
Yeah, and that was one of those things that I'm playing as, that I'm, like, getting these memories and stuff, and I'm finding out is, like, so what was Zelda doing?
Yeah,
throughout Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? Like,
does this mean that there were at one point 2 Master Swords?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? There are 2 Master Swords now, just, like, hanging out in the same timeline. Like, there's 2 Zeldas?
Because so you would know this because you didn't play Breath of the Wild, or you might not know it, but, like, the idea behind the Master Sword in Breath of the Wild is that it gets damaged 1,000 years ago.
Right.
And then Zelda brings it to the Great Deku Tree for safekeeping, so it can recover. Mm-hmm. And then puts Link in the hyperbolic time chamber,
right?
So that he can get better 1,000 years later, right? Mm-hmm. Because she gets sucked into Calamity Ganondorf. Mm-hmm. So the Master Sword is sitting there, but 9,000 years ago, Zelda ate a rock and turned into a dragon.
Yeah, exactly.
And she has presumably been flying around Hyrule this whole time.
And, like, I know there are dragons in Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
Like, those dragons are also in Breath of the Wild, but the thing is, where was the 4th one? There's a 4th one now, and it's got a Master Sword in its forehead.
I guess I'm going to guess that she was in the depths, which you didn't get access to until the upheaval.
Right. I guess so. But that's still kind of weird, right?
Right. It's very...
Because that means there were 2 Master Swords and 2 Zeldas for a period of time.
Which then, at one point, they convert. No, they don't converge, because Link sends the one he got from the Great Deku Tree back in time.
Right.
So that Zelda can put it in her forehead and carry it for 10,000 years.
Exactly. So it's like this weird time loop thing, but it's just very strange.
This is why I'm always fascinated by storylines that allow someone to take the slow path with time travel. Mm-hmm. Because you do get to think about the fun idea of, like, oh, well, there were 2 of them around at some point.
There were quite literally 2 Zeldas and 2 Master Swords just hanging out.
Like, you think about Chrono Trigger, even, And like how once you get Robo, after you leave Robo in 600 AD to replant the forest, once you get him and fly around 600 AD, you can just see the other Robo just hanging out.
Yeah. He's just hanging out. He's just doing his thing.
He's doing his farming thing for 400 years.
Yeah.
Until you go to pick him up.
It's really funny. Like,
yeah.
Just to think, I don't know. It's very funny that there was technically a master, like, so the Master Sword gets stronger with the energy you pour into it over time, right?
Right.
So if we take this to its logical conclusion, there was a Master Sword that could have defeated Calamity Ganon 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was underground.
But they had no way of knowing about that. They had
no way of knowing about that. And, like, that's really weird, isn't it? It's almost, like, to me, it's almost like you should just have, like the timeline's just kind of split, and Zelda going back in time literally changed the past, right?
Right.
I don't know. Very weird. And plus then you have new shrines and shit showing up that are in totally different locations from Breath of the Wild, and like all the Guardians are gone. Like I know a few things about Breath of the Wild.
The Guardians thing and the shrine things can be explained actually, because the Guardians were it's implied they were dismantled to build the towers.
Oh, that's fun. That's
because when you activate a tower for the first time and the hands come out to grab Link, he like recoils in fear.
Okay, that's actually really good. Thank you.
Because he's like, oh, I've seen these before. I'm not getting involved.
I don't fuck with these, no sir.
And I'm pretty sure it's implied somewhere that like, because the original shrines in Breath of the Wild were Sheikah in origin. So I think once their purpose had been served, they just sank back into the ground.
Okay.
And I don't really know where the new ones kind of just took their place.
They just popped out of the ground?
Yeah.
They're just also underground until they're needed. Or they fell from the sky, I suppose.
I think they fell from the sky. I don't know. I don't know. But
there's some in caves.
Then yeah, I guess they just popped up from the ground. I guess these were all... Well, no. Because they're connected to the light roots.
Yeah, but there are some in the sky.
Well, they were lifted up from the ground.
That's true. Man, okay. You can't think about Zelda too hard. No. There's too much going on.
There are mechanic deformed checkpoints that you can warp to and give you more hearts and stamina.
Yeah, exactly. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
I do like that they're connected to light roots, though. It makes it very fun.
Yeah.
Because that works both ways. Because sometimes you'll be on the surface and like desperate for a shrine. So you can have a fast travel point back here, and then you'll open your map and look at your depths and go, hey, I've been here underground before, so there's got to be one nearby. Yeah, it's fun. I
like doing that with the opposite with the depths, where I'm like, okay, let me compare these two maps. Which one is not listed in the depths? Okay, I'm gonna mark that on the map.
That's where I'm
gonna
going.
head in that direction. And
then that way you can actually have some sort of sense of direction in like the darkness of the depths. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good. There's just like a lot of really smart, fun world design in this game. I'm just very impressed by the scope of it and just how well designed it is.
Every time I build something, I'm just in awe that it all works.
Oh, it's black magic that it all works. It shouldn't.
No, it absolutely should not work. Like this, there's so much variety into what you can build, and it shouldn't work. Like you should be getting alerts being like, you know, or like Purah being like, Link, you can't build that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But no, you can just slap anything on anything, and if like you're like, I want to build a hover cart, you can.
You can't. It's insane to me just how precise you can get with it. Because like and I never could build one because the angling is so hard. But one of the simplest like flying machines you can build in the game for exploring the depths is 2 fans and a control stick, right?
Right.
And then you slap a light root on it, and you've got yourself a little flying machine. But the deal is that the front one has to be angled downward. Like, it has to be kind of angled.
Yeah.
And the other one has to be flat in order to create the correct kind of lift, right? Because otherwise... so
you are propelling yourself forward and upward at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, if it's too angled, then you're going to go forward too much, and you're going to flip, you're going to flip ass over tea kettle, right? And if they're both perfectly straight, then you're just going to go up and you're not going to get enough forward momentum, right? There is no reason that should even be possible. Like, it shouldn't even be possible for, like, that slight angle to be so necessary. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I like, yeah, absolutely. Where it's just like, it shouldn't, it shouldn't be logical.
Right.
That this would work the way it is.
The whole game should fall apart, is what I'm saying.
Like, you see that you do that thing where, like, one of the puzzles you have to solve is strapping 2 automatic wheels to a bridge and letting it pull itself across a lava river.
Yeah.
And it works.
And the
bridge doesn't get tangled on itself or, like, clip into itself and do something weird. It just goes.
It just goes. It's too fucked up. It shouldn't work like that. I'm sorry. But it super does.
Like, one of the first things you do is build the bridge to get across this. And you're like, so I just slap, like, 5 trees together?
And they're like, yeah, if that's what you want to do.
Like, I can just stack them? I can just keep like, it doesn't hit an arbitrary, like, oh, well, you can't stack 3 trees on top of each other. That's silly. Like,
no, you can stack as many trees as you want, idiot.
You're going to break the boundary of the building field. Like, no, just do it. Like, these trees right here, these ones that I cut down, yeah, just do it.
It's so funny. Like, they literally just let you do that just cause. And none of it should work as well as it does. And you can do shameful things. Like, you can do smart solutions to puzzles and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can just solve the problem with long tree.
Yeah.
Right? Like, sometimes the problem is I take 6 trees and I staple them together and then I walk across it and or up it. And there we go. I've now solved the problem, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, that shouldn't work.
It shouldn't work that way.
It shouldn't work that way.
There should be so many weird caveats to building.
Yeah.
Right? The control stick, I can't believe, works.
Oh my god, the control stick is magic. Like, more than anything. It's just like, you slap a control stick and a wheel on something, and it's like, okay.
Okay, yeah.
That works.
Well, like, okay. Like, one of the most easy things to build is you take a flat board and you attach 4 wheels to it and you tack a control stick to the top of it, and you have a car. And I'm like, how do you know which wheels to turn when I turn the stick? It's like the ones in the front. It's like, how do you know which ones are in the front?
Yeah, exactly. How do you know which ones are in the front? What if I stuck the stick in the middle of the thing? How are you aware? They're like, we just know.
Yeah, we just know. It's the direction you're facing. That's the front. But how do you know?
I guess because... Sorry, I just took a drink of water. I guess because, like, it's oriented to the direction of Link's feet.
I get, right? Like, that's, but, like, still, like, how do you know which wheels are ahead of the other wheels to do that, right?
Right.
Like, it's just so, because, like, this isn't even about, like, the automatically turning ones. Like, this is the one, like a fan-operated vehicle still knows which wheels to turn. Yeah, and I'm just completely blown away.
Yeah, that's true. Like, how do you know how to make all of this go and work, right? Like, it shouldn't, but it does.
Mm-hmm. The one that blows my mind the most.
What?
You attach a flat board. You attach 2 of the self-propelling wheels to it on either side. Then you attach boards to the opposite spokes of those wheels, and you got yourself a paddle boat.
Oh yeah.
How do you know? How do you make it so the boards can push in water?
Yeah, Oh God, you're so right.
And I know it's not just, if board is pushing, then go forward. Because I fucked it up and put him in the wrong place, and my thing went all over the goddamn area. So like it was interacting with the water as if it was a surface to push off of.
Yeah, and I guess that's what it is. I guess that the water is real in Breath or in Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like,
yeah,
the water is not just you go under this plane and now your like player gravity is half, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's an actual, like, this is water, you are swimming in it, the things in the world, the objects in the world are interacting with it the way water would, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really wild.
That's
so much work.
That's so much to do in your game.
It's so much to do in your video game. It's a little goofy, right? Like, it's so much work. Why did you do it that way? I mean, I'm glad you did, but
these are those things that you hear about in games that are like, oh yeah, no, we can't do that because that's like literal witchcraft. Like, and there's no conceivable way anyone could do that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, we did it.
We did it. Well, that's the thing. You saw like game devs on Twitter who were just like, how did you do this?
Yeah.
Hey, like, how did you do this, Nintendo?
This should be impossible. It's that old adage of like, okay, we need you to program a scene where 15,000 spaceships are having a dogfight above a swirling vortex of a planet. Mm-hmm. Done. Easy. Okay. We need you to have this character take something out of her purse. Impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a completely different skill set than even what you would ask of a Zelda game, right?
Yeah.
There's so much simulation going on, and all of it works, and it shouldn't. You can slap. A really good example is, those floating blocks, and I don't mean the ones you get from capsules. I mean like the really big ones that you find in Sky Islands, like the really huge floating rectangle things, right?
Yeah.
You can put a rocket and a control stick on those, and you can control it that way.
That's insane.
How, though?
How?
Right? Like, how did you do that? I would like to know.
How did you program so many objects that can be propelled by the rockets?
Yeah. And how does it all work in conjunction with, or even like a fan, right? A fan and a stabilizer and a control stick. How do all of those things know how to work in conjunction, right?
Yeah.
How did you do that? Nintendo?
How did you...
Hey, what did you do?
How did you make it like this? So that, and then like say, all right, we're done with this franchise. We're done with this part of the franchise now.
I really hope they aren't just done with this system, right?
This better not be a one and done, because this is some revolutionary, groundbreaking material. If they just did it for the one game, we're like, well, we're gonna do something different next time. It's like, no, go back. No. You put this in a Mario game now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You put this in a Kirby game.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Donkey Kong build some stuff out of bamboo, okay? Like, you better get on it.
It's so, like... Because I know I can see where the nascent idea of this came from. Because, like, I have seen Breath of the Wild gameplay videos of people doing wacky shit with the physics in that game. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, I know where this came from. And it's so crazy to me that Nintendo also saw the wacky videos of people doing insane physics shit. And they also said, like, okay, well, we can build a whole video game around that, right?
Yeah.
With the same Breath of the Wild engine. To me, that's so...
Well,
that's so crazy.
Like a lot of Tears of the Kingdom is just, we saw what the fans were doing with the game and wanted to make it official. Because Ascend was a dev tool.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, to make getting out of caves and stuff easier for the devs, and they're like, well, why don't we just give it to the players so they can also use this?
Honestly, the thing is, Ascend itself is a really crazy thing to put in your video game, right?
Yeah.
Like the building objects and all the physics simulation that is going on is extremely impressive. But equally impressive is that almost every single surface, unless it's just too far over your head, right?
Right.
You can just jump through, up and through any hard surface over your head as long as it's not too high up.
So my question for you is,
uh-huh,
how many times did you forget about Ascend?
All of the time, literally constantly.
All the time, every time. There was a shrine that I spent, no lie, 15 minutes on the first puzzle because it was a sheer flat elevation, like a sheer flat wall, and you had these blocks on rails that you could slide back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And they were too tall for me to jump up to. Mm-hmm. They were too wide for me to jump across to.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what do you want me to...
What do you want me to do?
They don't meet. Like, I gotta angle these, obviously, in, like, the correct position to scale them. But, like, I can't get this one over far enough, and I can't also get on it, but I don't have anything to jump from. Like, do I jump from like the entrance? Because the entrance had like a ramp downward, and I'm like, do I jump and glide to it from there? No, I can't reach that. What am I?
The answer is Ascend.
Ascend. Just go through it. Just go
through it, idiot. Yeah. I'm the exact same way. There were so many times I would go down into a cave network and the walls would either be too wet or too like sheer to climb back up, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'd just be at the bottom of this cave just going like, well, how the hell do I get back up? I don't want to teleport to the nearest shrine because the nearest shrine's kind of far away, right?
Yeah, and you're not done exploring this area.
Yeah. And I don't want to leave the cave. I just want to leave like this specific hole in the cave. So I'm like, what the fuck do you want from me, Nintendo? Right.
Right. Ascend. I can just go through ceilings.
Yeah, right, okay. Right. Yeah. I can just go through ceilings. Yeah. And even that is insane, right? Because it means the amount of so using Horizon as an example, right? Horizon uses streaming where what your camera is looking at is what is actually being shown to the player, right? And everything outside of the camera just doesn't exist. Or it does exist, but it's in an extremely low poly form.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yep.
But like with Ascend, obviously that's part of what Ascend's little swimming animation is. It's a loading animation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it still has to simulate a bunch of stuff, or not simulate necessarily, but keep in mind a bunch of stuff around you in like every direction. Because if you do Ascend out of a cave and it takes you, as I have had happen, to like the top of a mountain before, because you ascend in the wrong place, and suddenly you're like, where the fuck am I? Mm-hmm. If you ascend, there's gonna be stuff up there, right?
Right.
And the game has to keep track of that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And that's so much, Nintendo. That's so much.
That reminds me of like, I love those. One of the quests involves you having to sneak into someone's shed. And the way you do it, because the door is locked, you have to ascend into it. So you just play this fun game of whack-a-mole where Link's like, nope, okay, nope. A little bit more to the left. Okay, let me try that again.
That's really funny. A lot of this is the funniest video game ever made, right?
Link in this and Breath of the Wild is the best characterization he has ever had.
Despite being even more non-expressive than like Twilight Princess Link, who has like real characterization, or like Wind Waker. He's so funny in this game. He's
just this feral caveman.
Yeah, he's just a wild man.
Who canonically lived with the Gorons and ate rocks as a child.
Sure.
There's that great comic on Tumblr about like Link and Zelda talking about how like Link's like, I don't think I could have done what you did, you know, eating the stone and, you know, after all that turning into a dragon. And she's like, it was a sacrifice worth making. And Link's like, I would have eaten it day one. She's like, what? He's like, looks like candy.
Looks like a jelly bean. It literally does look like a jelly bean, is the thing. I understand.
It's so funny because like there is so much more text in this and Tears of the Kingdom for Link being this absolute freak of nature.
Yeah.
Because the parrying mechanic is an in-game thing that is an in-universe thing that Link can do. It's not a game mechanic. Link can canonically just deflect anything with anything. There's a diary entry you can find that talks about, like, a guard talks about Link deflecting a guardian's shield with a potlet. And they're just like, that's just the thing this weird, like, teenager can do.
It's just like, he's just a crazy man is the thing. He's just a weird, crazy, like, wild man who hangs out with the princess and eats rocks and just kind of runs around. And
has the biggest Tony Hawk syndrome.
Nobody knows who he is, but everybody knows who he is. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody knows what he looks like, but everybody knows who he is, right?
It's just, there's so many scenes of, oh, hey, Link, like the great hero. Wonder what he's up to. This.
Yeah, so many times where it's like, oh, Princess Zelda's bodyguard. He must be so tall and handsome and strong. And you're just like, while all saying this to just like a 5'7" manlet. It's just like,
I love that Zelda's taller than him.
Zelda is taller than him. It's so funny. Good for them. It's so cute. I've never been a Zelda and Link like person. Like in terms of like relationships and stuff. This game sells that harder than any other game has ever sold it.
Because they're both freaks.
They're both like, they're just weirdos. They're just my little Blorbos. I'm sorry. They are so Blorbo coded in this game. It's amazing. One
of the flashback cutscenes in Breath of the Wild is Link and Zelda on like one of their first like outings as like princess and bodyguard, like researching and stuff. And they barely know each other at this point. One of the first things Zelda does is catch a frog and go, Link, eat this. I want to see what happens.
I love it. Great. That's exactly it, is the thing. They're both so funny. They have so much character and personality. And I love what a weird little guy Link really is in this game.
How long will it take for them to realize that they are actually married? Because they haven't. They haven't figured that out yet.
They haven't figured it out yet, but they are. They live together.
They've lived together for 5 years at this point.
It has to be like 5 or 6 years, right? Because that baby.
Yeah, because that baby's is a little toddler now, and she's going on.
She talks and walks.
Yeah, and she's on her way. She's on her way to never see her father again, I guess.
Oh yeah. Oh. It's one of those things where you don't want to think about it. It's like, it's like, I don't know about that one, Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Just be like, well, it's bye, Dad. I'm not going to see you again until I'm 18. You're like, hold on.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Wait a second.
Gyarados culture is a little weird.
Maybe we shouldn't interrogate that one too much. Maybe you don't want to put too much thought into that one, because otherwise it's really sad.
I do think it's funny that, like, in Breath of the Wild, like, you had to get the Gyarados outfit to get into Gyarados Town. But since it doesn't exist in Tears of the Kingdom, the answer is, it's Link. What are we going to do? Throw him out?
That's right. You can't really stop him. I wish the outfit wasn't it, because I didn't. I mean, it's
you didn't get to experience that.
I didn't experience that. You know, it's a tragedy. But I just really, all of the little goofy characters and stuff. This game's just really like fun and good.
It is one of the first Zeldas that I feel like has significant characterization for a lot of
it has like
people.
A cast. Yeah, it's very weird. Like, again, they tried that, like, it's there in Majora's Mask to some extent, obviously, because Majora's Mask is kind of famous for that. And then they tried it again in Twilight Princess with kind of middling results, because those are characters and they have characterization.
Yeah.
But they're just not very interesting, right?
Yeah,
but they are like, it's like a cast of characters.
Yeah, and not to say that like there's no characterization in anyone, but like part of the appeal of Zelda is that it's kind of an isolation story. Like you are alone, right? And so like the people you do interact with are on very limited levels, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like even Wind Waker, which is still the best Zelda game, really only has like 4 characters of any depth, right? It's Zelda, Link, the King of Red Lions, or Tetra, Link, the King of Red Lions, and Ganondorf, right? Like that's kind of it.
Yeah, it's always those 3, and then a couple others that kind of like frequently show up to tell you things. Like for the most part, you're getting a lot of exposition in Zelda games, like in general. You're getting it from a lot of disembodied voices speaking to you through like a gadget you have.
Sure, yeah, or like there are characters in Ocarina of Time. There's a lot of them, but they don't really have like an arc. They're just kind of the same character you meet, and then they become a sage, right?
They are very static because they can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
By the way the game works, but like, so it is fun to see them kind of flex that in Tears of the Kingdom and allow, Yunobo, Sidon, Tulin, and Riju to have like character arcs. And
like they have like personalities and character arcs, and they can hang out with you, and you can have like recurring interactions with Purah and all this stuff, right? Like it just feels, it's such a weird Zelda game in a good way, mind you. But like, it's very strange because I've played pretty much every single Zelda game that was made. I suppose they did try to also do that in Skyward Sword, but the problem is that nobody likes that game.
Yeah.
And nobody likes those characters. Oops.
Groose should be in Tears of the Kingdom, though.
Groose, they probably should have put a Groose in Tears of the Kingdom.
I want Groose to be like Beetle.
And just keep showing up and hanging out. Yeah. I agree.
The Triforces of wisdom, courage, power, great bargains, and himbo.
And some guy, yeah. I agree.
And Biff Tannen from Back to the Future.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. But this game is just, I don't know. It's very interesting. It's good. I like that it has writing and characters and shit.
You roll with a party.
I wish that rolling with a party was more fun and manageable instead of chaos.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have to chase Riju and Yunobo down.
Nintendo, we have to have a conversation. I am stunned that you let that get... They said they tested this game for a year.
Like,
I don't believe you.
So there are so many things but there are a few things that they did absolutely right with those. Like when you're gliding, Tulin is right there.
Sure.
Right? Like you can just tap the button to activate Tulin. Great. Perfect. Excellent. When you get on a moving vehicle, Yunobo hops in the front and is your cannon, right?
That's right. Perfect.
Excellent.
You did it.
Perfect. I love that. Why do I have to chase Riju down? Why can't, when I pull out a bow, I can't press like ZL or something to activate her?
It's, to me, the insane thing is horses have never been more irrelevant in this game. But there is still a dedicated horse whistle button.
There's still a horse whistle button.
Instead of, if you wanted to make it insane, if you still wanted it to be like an insane and bad UI, then the down button should you press the down button, you hold it down, and then you just like if you were picking your shields or your swords or the thing you're going to stick on your bow, you press the down button, and then you go through a slider, and you pick your little guy from there, and you select them, right?
Yeah.
Is that elegant? No. Is it good? Not really. Is it better than what they gave us? It's
better, and it's way better, and I think it actually I think it would be good, because like it is consistent with how the rest of the game works.
Right.
Like it is filling out the rest of the dedicated buttons for that specific purpose, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then if that was how it worked, I'd have no reason to ever deactivate these guys.
Yeah, that would be way better. And like you could still, if you because there are still people who just use horses in this game because they love their horses. I don't have any kind of emotional attachment to the horses because I didn't play Breath of the Wild.
Right.
But you know what? You can still put the horse whistle just holding down and scrolling all the way over, and there's the horse whistle.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you put it on the tool button.
Yeah.
Instead of the map button.
Which is insane.
Why is the map button there?
Is it just because you were out of places? Like, did you make a radial dial and then just realize you had an empty slot and you're like, oh, put the map there, I guess. Mm-hmm. Put the horse whistle there.
Yeah.
Just do that. That'd be way easier because then you can have like a functional companion system. You got so close. That's the thing. You got so close to doing something really cool, but as it stands, using them is such a pain in the ass that I never use any of them in combat, right? And I feel like if using them was not so fucking annoying, then you could do some really cool, crazy shit in combat, right? Like, even more insane stuff than you can already do. Mm-hmm. But, like, as it is, I basically never engage with it unless I am forced to do so in a fight, right? Unless, like, the gimmick of the fight is you gotta use Sidon or you gotta use Riju or whatever. Mm-hmm. Never touch it otherwise. Right? Mm-hmm. It's such a shame. There's like, you got so close, and Mineru just sucks. I'm sorry.
Oh, Mineru's terrible. Like, I turned her off. Yeah.
I turned her off.
I kept the other four out because they are helpful in combat. Mm-hmm. They, like, Tulin is a beast in combat because he can get headshots.
Oh yeah, he can actually get headshots, and that's super useful. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like Yunobo and Sidon, they hit pretty damn hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Riju has her uses. She can attack things, and if you can get a hold of her, she's an easy like nuke button, right?
Yeah.
If she's standing near you, you can use her as an alternate way to take out Gloom Hands. Because if you're like me and you ran out of bombs and you went to the bottom of the Great Deku Tree, you're just like, okay, well, what do I do now?
Well,
Riju, you turn everybody else off but Riju, and you run around in circles and cry.
Yeah.
So they all have their uses, except for Mineru, who has none.
Her whole thing of, hey, attach gadgets to me, and then I can do attacks with them, or you can ride on my back, but it's the most unintuitive,
slow
mech pilot thing that I don't know if you had this problem. I had a hard time getting off.
Yeah, I don't know,
because you have to press one button to stand up.
Yes,
and then press a different button to jump off.
Right, they're not the same button.
Yeah, it should have just been double tap one button to stand up and jump off.
The only use that Mineru has is that she can break things. Like, if you're riding on her back, you can use her to break rocks. But you know who else can do that?
Yunobo.
Yunobo.
You know who's more fun to break rocks with?
Yunobo. And also, you will have Yunobo first.
Yeah.
Because if you're following maybe you went to the... No,
you can't get Mineru before getting the other sages.
Can you not?
I don't think so.
I feel like you can probably strong arm it. It would just suck ass. Like, I think you could probably navigate your way there and make it work.
I think Purah has to tell you about it.
Oh, does she?
Before that area becomes like active for you to actually get to.
I see. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I didn't try. I need to find out if it's possible. But let's just assume no. You're gonna have Yunobo anyways, and he does the only other thing that Mineru is good for. Like, what a shame. What a waste of a cool character design. Especially because, like, her robot form just kind of sucks ass, too. It's not cool.
It looks so stupid.
It looks goofy.
It really does.
I'm sorry. You could have just had a cool, like, fox lady floating around with you and helping you in combat in some way. I don't know how. But, like, there's so many other options.
Well, I mean, what you do is she does what she does already, is, like, enhance your build stuff.
Yeah.
Like you build a vehicle for her to inhabit, and then she kind of acts like the automated seeking drone, right?
Right.
But like on a much bigger level.
That's how you get actual functioning mechs in this game, which is like the holy grail. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there's so many other ways you could have done it, and it's such a waste. And, like, that whole system is just insane. Like, this game is so good, and then you get to that, and you're like, are you sure you tested this for a year?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I know you said you tested it for a year, but I feel like there were probably multiple people giving you notes like, this is a bad system. We need to fix this.
I refuse to believe that no one complained about this.
Nobody in QA said, like, hey, this is really clunky and bad. Can we do something?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No, I guess I'm betting is that what it did is everyone turned off Mineru and then didn't think about her to bug test her. I
guess they were too busy with the physics simulations.
Yeah.
They're like, listen, we can't worry about the companion system. It's like, you really should have worried about the companion system, but okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's not really a nitpick. Like, I know that feels like a nitpick. That's not. Like, that feels like a pretty big part of the game.
It is.
It's just very poorly constructed. Like, legitimately badly made, right?
It's, definitely not good. Mineru is such a huge disappointment compared to the other four.
Well, not just that, but I mean, like, the whole
thing of just, like, them
using companions in general is so poorly done that it feels like it's really weird in a game that is otherwise, like, has a lot of quality behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The whole companion system feels so bad and underbaked that it's just like, are you sure you bug tested this for a year? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was just they couldn't figure out a better way to do it.
Which we did. You press down on the button and then you pick
hold
it
it down and then you select over. We already figured it. You can have that one for free. Maybe you patch it. I mean, I know Nintendo won't do anything cool like that because they're allergic to that.
They're too busy patching out duplication glitches.
Yeah, they're too busy patching out duplication glitches, which is so stupid. Like, you made a Zelda game. It's a single player game. It's a single player game that should not have farming in it. Why is there farming in this Zelda game? Right? Like, what an insane way to make your video game. To make your, like, my video game. Our video game is about the beauty of exploration and wandering around this idyllic countryside, taking in the sights, fighting monsters, building cool mechanisms, and sometimes you just gotta sit for a couple of minutes to farm a dragon drop.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, first you gotta find the dragon.
And then first you gotta find it, and then you gotta find a good way to get on it every single time.
And sometimes it's made of electricity, so that's difficult.
And then you gotta just like sit and once you figured all that out, now you gotta sit around and wait for it to come back around.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find a way to do that in a way that doesn't suck ass, we will patch it out.
We will remove it.
We will remove it.
Granted, the race to find the next duplication glitch is hilarious.
It's very funny. Yeah.
We are up to like 2 or 3 now on the latest patch that work.
Yeah.
They aren't as efficient, but they definitely work. And there is a way that you can just do a whole bunch at once. It requires a lot of prep work, so I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But what you do is you set it up so that the gist of it is that there's one basic trick, which is if you have a very low number of items, you can do a trick where you drop one while throwing it at the same time in midair, and that spawns another one, and you pick it up and you repeat it over there. But because of the 21 item limit in the field, you can only do it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
The way you get around that is you do it near a dispenser.
Okay.
And you shove 2 fans. You make 2 fans into an L shape. And you shove those into the dispenser so that the dispenser stays open, but items don't fall out of it.
Okay.
And then what you do is, as you're doing the duplication glitch, you collect those 20 items, throw them in the dispenser. And if you throw an item that's not Zonai material into a dispenser, it just shoots it out. But with the fans in the way, it blocks those and doesn't count them towards the 21 item limit.
I see.
And then when you're ready, you wiggle you recall to get the fans out, and then you mash A as fast as possible so that you don't lose any items because they're going to fall out and hit that 21 item limit quickly. But if you pick them up fast enough, they won't get there.
That's so funny. Okay, sure.
And it really is.
It's like Looney Tunes shit.
It feels like you're like hijacking a candy machine, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Just like if you pop the door open and doesn't detect that it's closed, it'll just keep pumping out candy.
If you kind of jiggle the little handle, right? Mm-hmm. It'll just keep giving you gumballs.
Yeah. Like everyone has done that with the little like fruit shaped candies. Like if you jiggle that handle, one or two of them will fall out.
Yeah, you'll get some more. Yeah. Exactly. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's such Looney Tunes shit. Like, this is the funniest video game ever made. Like, basically across the board. Because there's so many things on, like, Twitter and YouTube of just, like, immaculately timed moments of comedy, right?
Tom and Jerry.
So funny.
There's, the person who set up, like, a contraption to blind a Bokoblin after it drops its weapon. He goes to pick up its weapon, and then a fucking anvil falls on it.
Or just like the one I saw that was like one of the first ones that came out was somebody who like made a car, like, right, and but they used something on fire to turn the fan on. So then it just lit the whole thing on fire while they're standing on it. And then just one after another, the pieces start breaking.
And this is Nintendo programming this intentionally. I'm sure of it. It'll be funny. When it collapses, the wheels stay up for a second and then tip over.
And the comedic timing is so perfect.
That was a dev at Nintendo being like, no. They need to stay upright for a second before gravity pulls them down.
Yeah, totally.
we need the coyote time.
You need the coyote time where it's that extra little beat for comedic effect. Mm-hmm. And it's always funny. I mean, there's so much like that in this game, and it rules. There's just so many, like, you can just go and look it up on YouTube and you'll see it, right? It owns.
I know that's intentional because of Link Between Worlds.
Oh, really?
Which in Link Between Worlds, one of your gimmicks is that you have an ability where you can become a graffiti drawing on a wall and like walk alongside walls. But you'll slide underneath paintings. One of the paintings in the game is a chicken head. And that chicken head painting is angled so that if Link walks under it, his head is a chicken. And that was on purpose, which is how I know that the coyote time in Tears of the Kingdom is on purpose.
That's right. Because somebody at Nintendo has an excellent sense of humor, I see. Absolutely. Oh, it's so funny. I love it. Just like a fantastic game to just go like, truly is, I'm a genius.
Oh no.
That's the whole game, baby.
That's so many things of, all right, I built it, and I'm going to launch it, and it's leaving without me.
Yeah, I have done that so many times, just to, like, watch it just sail off into the distance, like,
oh, okay. Well, I needed to be quicker on that.
I needed to be on it before I activated it. Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or you build something, and it has wheels, and it's on a slight incline.
That's right. Goodbye.
Or it's like, oh, I need to put these wheels on something. I'm going to pop out 4 wheels now, and there they go.
Just watch them just roll down the hill, just like, okay.
Just Link going, no.
Although I will say, one of my favorite things I learned to make that is like, it's just cheating. It's such a simple way to get height in this game. Mm-hmm. But what you do is you make a hot air, so you actually use the hot air balloon base, right? You make a real hot air balloon with like the base and the balloon. Yep. But you don't use... The only way this works really well is if you have the auto build mechanic, right?
Okay.
You don't use the fire, like the flamethrower one, to power it, right?
Okay.
You use a stack of wood and you put it in the little the little bowl
yeah.
that produces the hot air that lifts the balloon, right?
Right.
And then you put a control stick on it. The control stick and like the fans and stuff are just there if you want some degree of steering.
Right.
That's not as important. But then you save all of that as an auto build, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then anytime you just need to get height, but you don't want to use your battery, you spawn that in and you use anything that produces fire. Because even in auto build, like a flint or the fire chilies, the fire fruits,
mm-hmm.
they will still ignite that copied wood.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like the easiest way to cheat your way into getting a ton of height by spending like a very minimal amount of zonite, right?
Right.
And
which again, the other thing is, you can just strap non-zonite parts into auto build.
Yeah.
And they count.
They totally count. They'll still work.
Yeah, you can't, pocket or disassemble them or anything, but
right.
They exist and have all the properties they should have.
You can have like a zonite build with a bright bloom on the front.
Yeah.
And just copy it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, well, you built like a little hover car and it has a light on the front, and that light doesn't use, because again, you have a battery, and so you need to conserve that battery as much. So you're trying to build these things as small and
lightweight
and power, like with as much power conservation as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you build the thing. That's why the hover bike with the angled wheel we were talking about earlier was so good, is because it's only 3 pieces and a light on the front.
Yeah.
Right? And that's it. And even that copied light still has all of the qualities of a normal bright bloom. And it's like, none of this should work.
None of this like
none of this should work.
You should not allow us to do this.
I shouldn't be able to save the wood. Like, that part should not be able to be replicated.
Yeah, you should get an alert, like a little error that says, you cannot save this as a schematic.
Right.
It uses ineligible parts,
Sure, but it totally lets you for some insane reason.
Yeah.
And the only limitation is that stuff will despawn eventually, right?
Yeah.
Like the health bar on your hover platform will eventually run out, right? But that's it. And like, I think there are ways to get around that too.
There's exploits you can do to bypass some of that.
And that's also insane.
Yeah.
It's just such a this is what I mean when I say that Tears of the Kingdom is a toy. Like, more than any other video game, it's a toy, because it's literally just giving you pieces to assemble and saying have fun.
Tears of the Kingdom feels like playing a tabletop game, where the DM just says, yeah, okay, you can do that.
Literally, it's like, if you want to try it, sure. Yeah. And then we all try and it works, and it's like, cool, we're off. That's it. It's so fun. It's just so like interesting and fun to do and play. And I mean, I'm not very good at the building. I'm not building like fucking
Metal Gears.
I'm not building Metal Gears. I'm not building the insane, like those guys that made who can make like surface to air missiles and shit.
Yeah, they're the person who figured out how to actually make walking legs.
Yeah. I'm not that. I'm sorry. No. I'm not him. I'm just like a normal idiot who's very pleased with her hover machine, right?
The most complicated thing I built was an all-terrain vehicle with a basket on the front for transporting Koroks.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But like, even those little things. Hold on, I'm trying not to sneeze on recording. Okay. Even building like that little stuff just makes you feel really smart. I had like a little moment of just, the wings, right? Mm-hmm. And I had like some wings. And this was just stuff that was in my inventory. I had some wings, I had a control stick, and I had some fans, but I didn't have a like wheels to put on it to give me some lift. And like where I was, I needed a bit more runway than just using the using the trick where you lift it in the air with recall and then stop it and take off from there, right?
Right.
But then I had like a moment. I was like, oh, you know what works? Water. You put your wings on water with the fans and the control stick, and you can take off from water because that's a frictionless surface.
That's so smart. I never thought of that.
Exactly, right? Like I had that like little moment. I was like, oh, well, the reason you need it, like that's how it works. That's like how like seaplanes and shit work, right?
Yeah.
Is that it's a frictionless surface, so the air from the fans is pushing you forward, and if you pull back on the stick, you will eventually take off, right?
Yeah.
So any body of water can function as your runway to get your wings in the air. Especially if you want to build it for cheap, right? Because like adding like the cart on the bottom of the wings and adding like multiple fans and stuff, that starts to get expensive. But a wing, 2 fans, and a control stick, and a body of water, and that will get you in the air, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's super cheap and super easy. And again, it shouldn't work, but it does.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely.
And it works super well. It's like, okay, this is awesome. And you can do it in places like in the depths when you have to cross lava. You can do it there too. Like
the depths are the best place to
test things. Yeah.
Yeah, to build things because everything's inverted. So like all those mountainous regions are now big open valleys for you to sail across.
Right. And so like it's the perfect test bed to figure out all of your, especially because like Zonite is very plentiful down there, right? And they also, and I mean, Nintendo realized what they had made with the depth, that it is the perfect test bed for building shit, because like there are building depots all over the place that just have like wings and wheels and control sticks and batteries and all that shit just laying around. And they're like, yeah, we know what we made. Go crazy. Here's a bunch of stuff to build with and have fun with. And it's like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Yeah. It shouldn't work. And it does.
It's like, you know, those building depots in the depths are perfect because they have all of the Zonai parts you'll need, and then you have all of the Hudson stations on above ground.
Yeah, exactly. And and those are there to make just your standard, I need to build a really cheap little car to get me someplace fast. Well, there you go. You've got all the stuff you need.
Yeah.
And it's so, I don't know. It all works together so seamlessly. The transition from sky to ground to depths, all of it just flows so well, right?
It's one of the things that I like about Nintendo when they do it correctly, which is we have a gimmick in our game, right? And we're going to build everything to support that gimmick, right? And like it works super well in Tears of the Kingdom, like. The Ultra Hand and the Fusion are our big deals that we figured out. And so we are going to design everything about the game in service of these two things. We are encouraging you as much as possible to use these mechanics to their full abilities.
Right.
And I love when they do that, and it works.
I love when they do it right.
Yeah.
And it works, and it's just like you found this very simple mechanic and just built the whole game around it, and those mechanics interacting with like the systems that are already in the game come together and make something like really different and really like fun and unique and very cool, right? And yeah, like it's when it's good, it's great.
Yeah.
Is the thing. That's the thing about Tears of the Kingdom, is that they're like, you know, we have all these complaints about systems, and these are, I would not call them, these are legitimate complaints.
Yeah, these are things that severely hinder your ability to maneuver successfully around the game.
And use the game to its fullest extent possible, right? Like, there are possibilities available to you, hypothetically, that you can't use because the system to use it is too clunky, right?
Right.
Those are legitimate complaints, I think. However, when Tears of the Kingdom is working, it works so well that you just totally forget about all that shit.
Yeah.
Right? And it's amazing.
That's I think the biggest thing, is that you don't think about the negative parts when you're interacting with the stuff that works so well.
Right. And just across the board, it's just good. It's fun to play. I see why people poured a shit zillion hours into Breath of the Wild, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much in here that I just really love. And yeah, I think just from a technical, like, performance kind of gameplay standpoint, it's probably the best game of the year, unless something happens in tail end of the year that just knocked my fucking socks off. But nothing has so far, right? Mm-hmm. The only thing that has better story is Lost Belt 6, and that's Lost Belt 6. So what are you gonna do? That's written by Kanoko Nasu. Of course, it's gonna be the best.
Also, it's a Fate game and not a Zelda game.
Exactly, it's a game with writing. And I mean, like, this game has good writing to serviceable writing. Its writing works is the way to put it, right?
It's a game that was not focused on telling a dramatic story.
But it has its emotional beats, and those emotional beats are executed well. That's the thing, right? It's not very deep, but, like, the big plot twists work, right?
It does have one of my favorite Ganondorfs of all time in it.
It has the second best Ganondorf in the series, absolutely.
And it's funny because he's the best Ganondorf in a complete opposite way that Wind Waker Ganondorf is.
Right.
This Ganondorf would never have I coveted that wind, I suppose. No, not at all. He is too busy laughing maniacally while he tries to kill everyone.
And he's just having a good time, but he's like... Go ahead.
I love him. I love that the canonical reason why you can take your time before going to confront Ganondorf in the depths is because he's so arrogant that he's letting you prepare.
Yeah, he's just waiting. He's just hanging out. He's just like, I can wait. I got all the time in the world. I've already waited for 10,000 years. I can wait for another 2 weeks.
He is so confident in his ability to kill you that he is like, yeah, come at me with anything you got. I don't care. I'll wait patiently.
That boss fight got hands. It's still good. Like, even if you know, I mean, I guess if you cheese it and you use, like, you know, you use all your different, like, Zonite shit and stuff, that probably trivializes it. But if you just go in to, like, have the fight and do it, like, as a one-on-one fight, that fight's fun and good. And he can do the fucking he can flurry rush your stupid ass too, which kicks ass.
So when he flurry rushes me, I was like, I did the gamer lean.
That's right.
I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I gotta sit up.
It's the thing in Pokemon where they use a potion, you're like, you can't do that.
Yeah. And then the other thing is when he hits you, and that heart is just gone.
That heart is just gone. Yeah, that shit's so sick. It's not even like, it's like not even gloom, right? Because with gloom, you can like...
You can recover from.
You can take like food that's got like Sundelian and stuff, or Sundelian. I keep saying it wrong.
How did you not get that?
I don't know. My brain was like Sundelian. And then like literally just like did like a little story here in the middle of us talking about Ganondorf fight. But like from when I started playing the game for like weeks, in my head for some reason I kept on saying Sundelian. And then one day I'm on like a call with Saturn and Ben and Oates. We're all just hanging out. And I said, I've got to go get some Sundelian. And I said it out loud. And instantly I went, oh, that's wrong. It's supposed to be Sundelian, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just like instant. So I don't know why my brain did that. Well, maybe because it sounds better.
You know what, Sarah? You were probably just hungry. You should have had some horse divorce.
I'm gonna kill
you would have felt better.
I'm still sad about Final Fantasy 14. Oh god, but no, I like even food made out of Sundelian will not get that heart back.
No, and I was like, oh, immaculate. I was like, oh, okay, I see. I have a lot of this the food that just gives you extra hearts. Mm-hmm. I will have that, and that will mitigate that damage. Hits me, cuts off all 5 of my extra hearts.
All gone. All gone. Good luck, idiot. Have fun.
And it's like, oh, he's playing for keeps.
I see.
It is that thing I talked about when we were streaming Metal Gear Solid, where there are 2 things of being smart in a Kojima game, which is, one is, oh, hey, you figured out my puzzle. Good job. You figured out this cool trick. and the other of trying to cheese the boss is, you fucking idiot. You thought that would work? You dumb motherfucker.
You stupid asshole. Did you really think that was going to work? Fuck you.
Get fucked, idiot.
That's what
Turn the game off.
That's what the Ganondorf fight is.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's just so, like, to have the flurry rush thing be used against you, have him be able to slow-mo parry, and you're just like, hang on, you can't do that,
That's my thing.
That's my thing.
When he busts out the same weapons you're using.
Yeah. Oh, God,
he switches from a sword to a spear to a heavy sword. And
he's got a bow, too.
He's doing your moves.
He's doing your shit. Again.
They turned Ganondorf into a Virgil.
He was always like he was like one of the not like the OG, but like one of the most famous things in Twilight Princess is they took the idea from Wind Waker of a guy walking towards you slowly with a sword and just made it even more like, oh God, this guy's walking toward me slowly with a sword, right?
I never would have considered him to be a Virgil, right?
Sure.
Like Twilight Princess kind of got close to that idea.
Yeah.
But it was like, no, he's just the final boss. Like, this is what it all comes down to, is a duel, right? But Tears of the Kingdom is like, he's literally sitting in a chair, waiting for you to show up.
Yeah, it rules. It's so good. I love it, is the thing. And, yeah, just like, what a great boss. But this is, so we've talked about this. We've brought it up a few times already. Like the Wind Waker fight and the Twilight Princess fight. Yeah. And even all the way back into Ocarina of Time. The Zelda formula generally is, you fight a guy and then you 1v1 me bro, and then you fight big monster, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much how it always works. The reason that like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker kind of stood out is because they flipped the order, right?
Yeah.
You did the big monster, and then you 1v1 me, bro. And this game goes back to the normal format, but this is probably the best iteration of it in the series.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
Of like the standard like Zelda boss, like final boss pattern. It's the best because like the actual boss fight is the boss fight with Ganondorf at like the bottom of the Hyrule Castle chasm. Right? Like that's the actual boss fight. And then what comes after is just like the best victory lap fight ever.
I think the more I think about games, right, in general, when you get these kinds of games, this is the order the boss fights should go in every time. Yeah. The standard should be, we're going to give you your phase 1, which is going to be a pretty hard boss fight, right? Phase 2 is he goes, all right, I'm taking the gloves off. I'm dropping the weighted gi, right? And now I'm just going to kick your ass.
Correct.
And then I'm going to turn into a big monster, and you're just gonna whack me 5 times and win.
Yeah, you're gonna get your sick ass victory lap, and like, but this specific iteration of it is so good.
Oh, it's so good! Holy shit!
It's so good because it's so like indicative of everything that makes Twilight Princess just fun. The whole like movement based, flying around. Yeah. You know, getting caught by a dragon, like all of that is so good.
It is the thing that kind of like modern Zeldas have been doing for a while, which is you fight Ganondorf, you beat him for the first 2 phases, and then Zelda helps with the 3rd phase.
Right.
And Zelda has never helped more than she has helped in Tears of the Kingdom.
My baby girl is so good in this game. This is the best Zelda. Like, the character.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
This is the best
absolutely.
One. And that's saying a lot because I really like Tetra. But this is the best Zelda. Like, hands down. She is just so, like, cool and interesting and damaged. She has so much, like, hurt in her heart that makes her so compelling. You know, she's, like, I didn't play Breath of the Wild, but I know that the whole deal is that she's, like, being smothered under the weight of her own destiny, right?
Yeah, like, the whole... One of the best things about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is that it's a great study into the burden that gets thrust upon Link and Zelda every reincarnation.
Right.
Of just like, oh yeah, you got to do it.
You got to do it. You don't have a choice. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you fuck it up, we're all going to judge you.
Yeah, and we're all dead also. Sorry, no pressure. And yeah, like, it's so... I don't know, she is such an interesting character in specific. Like, Link is my fun little scrungly boy, and he's my sweet Blorbo baby. But, like, I don't know, especially in Tears of the Kingdom, there's so much, like, going on with even just making the willful decision to turn into a dragon for 10,000 years, right?
Yeah.
And I love it. It's just it's so good in a game that I said has it's okay writing. It's totally serviceable.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that this came out in the same year as Lost Belt 6, which is also about the burden of being the chosen one, right? Like what being your blonde-haired chosen one priest maiden girl does to your psyche and how it makes you into an insane person. Like, that's what Lost Belt 6 is also about. So how fascinating that these two games came out at the same time. At least in North America.
Right.
And and like, yeah, that part is the most, like, probably the most compelling part. Like, yeah, this game has a really good Ganondorf, and I like him, but like, I like it when the characters in Zelda games have pathos, and Zelda has it in spades.
Oh, so much. She
has so much going on in this game, and in Breath of the Wild again. Like, there's just so much going on there with her brain and kind of finally having, you know, in the form of Sonia and Rauru, like, actual positive reinforcement and being like, well, I am willing to do, like, to really do this crazy thing because it's not just because it's like my destiny or whatever, but because, like, this is the thing that it's something that only I can do, right?
Yeah.
And how that can motivate a person. And it's so good. It's so good. What a great version of Zelda.
Giving her that independent of Link.
Yeah.
Existing. Have her having no like suggestion that Link will be able to reverse this. Right? Like, she's doing this in service of granting Link the ability to defeat Ganondorf at one point, but she has no intention of going back to normal.
Right. She's just like, well, I've made my peace. If I have to be a dragon, I'll be a dragon, and it's fine. And like, this is a decision she totally makes on her own without even like any backup from anybody, right? Because like everybody else around her who could help or stop her, even Mineru is like on death's door, right?
Yeah.
So she can't do anything, and Link isn't there to be kind of like emotional support. So it's something she has to kind of steel herself to do on her own. And like, it's just a great scene. It's such a good moment of just kind of dawning on what's happened. Because like, the game tries to be cute and be like, where's Zelda? We all know where Zelda is. Zelda got flung into the past. Yeah. Right? But then like, it does a little double thing where it's like, no, Zelda's been here the whole time. Yeah. Right? Like, that's a good little flip. On its head. It is. And I really enjoy that.
And it is incredible for me because I did all the memories like pretty early on, right? Like, once I did one, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go
find them all.
See where this goes now. Like, it was so much easier to get the memories in this game than it was in Breath of the Wild. Oh my god. In Breath of the Wild, you
have to like match up pictures, right?
You're just given photographs, and it's like, we'll find the photograph in this scene, and I'm like, I'm not fucking doing that. Are you kidding me? Hard. You know how big this map is? in Tears of the Kingdom, it's just fly in the sky and kind of look for a big crop circle.
Yeah. Do you see that giant glowing thing on the ground? That's probably it.
Go there, and now, of course, find the puddle in the middle of this giant crop circle, which can be a pain in the ass sometimes.
But like, in general, that's also pretty easy because like, it has to be a circle, so you just kind of have to look for like a filled-in circle. It
is funny. I did think it was kind of funny walking around sometimes being like, where the hell is this thing? it better not like, be on the other fucking side of this sword. It better be in the hilt.
Like, just walking up and down in this fucking crop circle. Like, where's this goddamn hole in the ground?
Once again, Link being a weird goblin man, just being like, where is it?
I'm walking around in a crop circle.
There's like, I think that's the princess's bodyguard. He's kind of walking around that field yelling to himself.
Yeah.
I need to find out what stupid thing Zelda did this time.
Well, why is he screaming so much?
Link like 7 memories in being like, this better not be going where I think it's going.
I'm gonna be so mad if it's going where I think it's going, motherfucker.
And like, so like after getting all those, like I would run into the Yiga clan. Mm-hmm. And their dumb Zelda disguises. And I can just only imagine how like fucking furious Link is.
It's just like, you think you're being cute right now?
Like, you're so fucking funny, aren't you?
I'm so tired. I miss my wife, Koga. I miss her a lot, as he raises the sword over his head. Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. The point is that all of it culminates so well in the final boss, where Zelda is just, and it's so great because it, like evil demon dragon king Ganondorf is so huge and horrible looking.
Well, that's the thing is I'm seeing him like for one thing, the dragons are so fucking big.
They're so fucking big. And holy shit!
You don't realize how big they are until you need to scale one.
Right, until you're like standing next to one.
Because they're in the sky. Mm-hmm. And you know what? There's nothing in the sky to give you an idea of how big they are.
There's no banana for scale.
There's no birds. There's no birds for scale in the sky. No. So you're like, is that dragon small or just very far away? And it's very far away. You know, you're getting closer and closer, and you're like, oh, it's just that big, huh?
It's just that big, huh?
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then you see Ganondorf dragon.
And he makes little dragon Zelda look like a fucking noodle.
I know.
She literally, compared to him, looks like those worms on a string, right? Like, she just looks like a little thing, just like zipping around like, wee, I'm here too. And he's just so big in comparison.
He's so fucking big.
It's amazing. So he's so big, and she's just a little guy. She's just my little baby. Mm-hmm. And you're flying around, and like, no matter what happens, you can't fall. Like, you can't fall to the ground. It's such a victory lap because it's so easy mode. Like, no matter what happens, you can't fuck up the jump.
His only defense is to shoot near balls at you, and they're super easy to avoid. And
we've done the near raids like 35, 40 times now, so like, that's nothing, right?
And you just whack his weak spots a couple times, and then you're done. But it's so grandiose.
It's so grandiose. And it feels so much bigger, right? In the moment.
It's coming off of an insanely difficult one-on-one duel where you see his life bar.
Yeah.
And it just
keeps going. You're just like, okay, game. Like, all right.
Okay. I get
it. This is going to be hard.
It's that, and the other thing of seeing defeat Ganondorf complete. Find Princess Zelda complete. Those are the kind of not diegetic, but like using the game's interface to really emphasize like you know, the victory or the success of that thing, you know?
Yeah, it's like you can finally check like the thing that's been hanging over your head the whole game. You're like,
yeah,
and
you get like you get like the accomplishment, like it is any other quest in the game. You get that mark off.
Yeah.
And there's something that's just so utterly satisfying about it. And it's because it's one, I think one of the best ones is in Wonderful 101, which is the final mash prompt is press A to save the world.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it.
Mash A to your objective, save the world.
Save the world. And defeat Ganondorf, find Princess Zelda. It's so good, right? Like,
yeah.
You especially get the find Princess Zelda after you get like the very emotional moment of diving after her, which like is a mirror of the beginning of the game where she's falling into. It's so fucking good. She's falling into the hole and you can't grab her, but this time like you can actually fall fast enough to grab her, and it's like you have that moment where you can like get her and save her, and it's just like that scene in Spirited Away that makes everybody cry. And it's really good. And then you do it. And you have your little moment of just like, oh yeah, we're done, and then you get your fine Princess Zelda. And damn right, I found her.
There's two details in that I love especially, which one had to be pointed out to me. But the first one is, you catch her, and what do? Is you fall in a body of water because Link doesn't take damage, so he falls in a body of water.
That's right. So good.
Again, that's not a game mechanic. That's just the thing Link can do.
That's just the thing. Link does not get pancaked by falling into water from 500 feet in the air. Don't worry about it. It's probably all those rocks he ate.
Yeah, no, he is an indestructible boy.
He's my little guy, and he can't be killed.
And the other thing that I didn't quite realize until I had it pointed out to me is that it's not just Link, Rauru, and Sonia saving Zelda with the power of magic light. They're using rewind.
Yeah, they're literally turning back time.
Yeah, they're using recall to restore their bodies back to normal.
So that like it's literally that for Zelda, no time has passed at all. It's not that she spent 10,000 years, half insane as a dragon. They wound all of that back so that she can be as she was at the moment before she swallowed her secret stone, which is the worst name ever, Nintendo.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. You couldn't call it like a sacred stone or something?
Or like a dragon stone?
You couldn't call it a dragon tier?
The secret stone sounds like a thing you collect in a Zelda game.
Yeah,
right?
that's like another thing that you give to the Yahahas to expand your fucking inventory, right? Yeah,
one secret stone is worth 5 Korok seeds.
Right, exactly. No. Secret Stone is such a bad name. I played the game in Japanese because I'm sorry, I don't really like the English voice cast except for Matt Mercer, forgive me. I did not think it was very good. But I played the game in Japanese and so I didn't have to hear them call it a secret stone. I think they call it something very similar because they call it like Himitsu something or other. But like, I know that that's probably like the literal translation, but it just sounds bad in English. It sounds like a baby thing, okay? Anyways.
Yeah.
That's another nitpick. That's an actual nitpick.
That's an actual nitpick, is that you could have called it something cooler than
you could have called it literally anything else other than a fucking secret stone. I don't know why you wouldn't call it sacred stones. Is it because that's what they're called in Ocarina of Time? Did you not want to do an Ocarina of Time callback?
Oh, they did enough Ocarina of Time callbacks.
You should have just done the fucking Ocarina of Time callback. The game's about time travel. Just do it.
Yeah.
Right? Oh. Anyways, that's for real nitpick.
That's an actual, just like, minor.
But I had to get it out of my system because I was like saying the word secret stone with my mouth, and I was like, it's stupid, Nintendo. Okay? So, but you know what? It's fine. They rewind her back to the moment she was before she eats the jelly bean stone. And everything is fine. Now, and all was well.
Now, granted, and this is also true, I think, about Devil May Cry 5. Link should have kept the arm.
Oh, Link should have for sure kept the arm.
He should have kept the cool arm. Like, he shouldn't have got his arm back.
No, the cool arm was very cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he should have. It's kind of like Nero losing his cool robot arm. I know that he's very proud of his demon arm, and I get it.
I understand the significance of Nero gaining back a human arm.
Sure.
At the end of Devil May Cry 5. But he shouldn't have. Because it's cooler to have a robot arm or a demon arm.
The robot arm is cooler. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Which is funny because like it's implied in DMC5 at least that Nero can just like turn off the human arm and put the robot arms back on.
Yeah, look, don't worry about it.
Whatever. It's fine.
It's fine. The point is, Link should have kept his spooky ghost arm because it looked cool. You just cut the fingernails. Man.
Yeah, he just needs to trim his fingernails.
Just trim his fingernails. It's fine. I know that they're like probably made out of like that hard goat keratin because it's like Rauru's arm, right? But like,
you can just look just to get the Gorons to like, they probably got some grinding tools that you can just use to wear it down. Go
crazy. Mm-hmm. Point is, you should have kept a cool ghost arm, man.
Just get Yunobo to spin on it, and it'll wear him down.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You first.
I was gonna say one other thing that this is another sort of nitpick, but I also think it's a totally valid criticism. Anyways, the ghost arm should have been a hook shot.
Yeah, it should have had a grappling built into it of some kind.
Should have had a grappling built into it. You should be able to use it in combat and not just to pick up things and throw things at enemies. But I mean, like, you should be able to, like, use it to pull yourself, either pull you toward them or pull them toward you, right?
After playing DMC5 and Hi-Fi Rush, there is no reason you should not have been able to use the arm to hook onto surfaces.
Correct.
Right? Like, it doesn't have to have an incredibly long range or anything like that.
No.
But, like, hey, I want to get up there, but without using Ascend to go through the wall. Like, I just want to get to the ceiling.
Right, exactly. You should have been able to do that. I'm sorry. That would have been cool. And that's why you should... You know what has a fucking grappling hook? And it's a good one, apparently? Lies of P has a a grappling hook.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, actually. That
I'm
makes
not going to play
You're
that game because I hear that game is hard as fuck. But, like... If Lies of P, which is a Bloodborne knockoff made by a Korean studio that's apparently amazing. That's not me being derogatory.
That's like apparently people like really like Lies of P, which is shocking. I did not expect that game to be good.
I didn't expect that game to be good, but apparently it's incredible. But anyways, that game has a grappling hook. Link should have a grappling hook. I'm sorry, you're getting outclassed by the Pinocchio game, by the Twink Pinocchio game. Look, Link is also a twink. He deserves his own fucking grappling hook, okay?
We don't know a lot about Kingdom Hearts 4. We do know that Sora is also getting a grappling hook.
Because they're cool. That's
because
the thing
they are cool.
Steal. I know that, you're probably mad that everybody stole the glider concept from you. Literally everybody stole the glider from Breath of the Wild basically instantly. But this is the one time you are allowed to steal. That just means you're allowed to steal it, right?
It's not even stealing. You built the hook shot.
Yeah, exactly. You guys came up with it first. So put it back in. Turn Link's ghost arm into a hook shot.
Listen, I hope the next Zelda game does not have wall crawling so that it can have the hook shot back. Which I'm sure is the reason why you don't have the hook shot, is because it would negate the wall climbing.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be cool if you could use those together, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you could use the hook shot to get you up to a spot, but once you're actually on the wall, you can't use it because you've got to use both hands to hang onto the wall, right? Mm-hmm. You should be able to do that. That would be cool and fun. And you should always do things that are cool and fun that involve a grappling hook. So... that one is also free, Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. Just do it. Just put the hook shot back in.
Put the hook shot.
It's
been too many Zelda games without hook shot now.
Listen, I really love Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, a lot, a whole ton. I want to go back to opening a chest and finding a gadget in it.
I miss gadgets.
I would love to assign 3 of those to ancillary buttons on the controller.
Yeah.
I missed the hook shot. I missed the boomerang. That's actually a boomerang and not a weird pseudo weapon.
Yeah. I miss gadgets,
Mm-hmm.
We gotta have gadgets make a comeback.
We've gotta go back to more traditional Zeldas.
We're becoming return shitheads, but for Zelda having a hook shot.
Yeah, but it's just this is what they took from you, and it's just Wind Waker.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the double hook shots from Twilight Princess. Yeah. It's no, we could have so much more.
We really could.
We really could. That's an idea that they should. I don't know.
It's one of those things where, I mean, I do love the direction these games went in. These are fantastic as Zelda games, not just it's a good game, but it's a bad Zelda game. No. These are fantastic games in just in general. But just like Tales games, I do miss some of the older, simpler parts of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I think there is a synthesis that could be made in the next. Like, I know that going forward, the open world format is going to be the format for Zelda games for a while going forward because it's been so successful. But I do think there is a synthesis to have like old Zelda gadgets and open world stuff, right?
I think there is definitely a synthesis in removing some of the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom mechanics and replacing them with Zelda gadgets.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? Like getting rid of wall climbing and replacing with a hook shot, or some kind of other vertical scaling mechanism, right?
Right.
Or getting rid of the glider in place of something like the Deku Leaf, right? In Wind Waker, which is kind of functionally the glider, but runs on a different kind of mechanic. But there's stuff that you can do to replace what you're removing from the traditional open world aspect to make kind of a more focused Zelda game.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can very easily make Ocarina of Time in the Tears of the Kingdom map. And just
absolutely.
You will go here in this order, but on the path to get there, you're going to run into a lot of cool things that are going to distract you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, like, I'm so torn on it because I know that for a lot of people it would be annoying to not be able to kind of turn the whole open world into a Metroidvania, right?
Right.
Where you can't traverse to certain parts of the open world until you have acquired a gadget from a specific dungeon, right? However, I think that sounds good and they should do it.
Yeah, because the thing is about that, like, the open world thing is always the illusion of choice, right?
Sure.
But the problem, and this isn't really a problem in Tears of the Kingdom as much as it was in Breath of the Wild, which Breath of the Wild was severely hindered by its lack of actual dungeons, which Tears of the Kingdom does have some actually really satisfying dungeons to go through. They're a little bit short, but they are dungeons.
It has like 2 good dungeons and 2 okay dungeons and 1 dungeon that isn't a dungeon, right?
But it is,
but those are dungeons. Yeah,
it is the idea of, hey, you found an ability in this dungeon. We're going to center the dungeon around you using that ability, right? The thing about making a more linear progression style game is that you can get a lot more in depth with those dungeons because you aren't relying on, well, they can stumble upon it at any time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
So like that, and that's like the biggest issue is that you're gonna, if you can do everything at the start, then there's nothing that can challenge you.
Yeah, and there's no real surprises. Like Tears of the Kingdom kind of gets around that by having like your friends have their abilities, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, well, there's a surprise there. But you get that at the beginning of the dungeon, you know? And I feel like there are better ways to do it.
Yeah.
Like, Tears of the Kingdom is like, it's getting there, but whatever third iteration, you could really improve upon it.
Because, one of the things that you do in a traditional, like I'm thinking of Wind Waker is probably the best example of this, I think, is that you go to a dungeon and you're kind of doing a few rooms here and there. Like you're exploring things, you're stepping on buttons to open doors and whatnot. And you're seeing a thing on the wall. You're seeing a lot of that thing on the wall in a lot of different rooms. It kind of stands out. You're like, well, what do they want? Well, I'm supposed to interact with that thing, but I can't. What do I do? And then eventually you find the bow. Or you find the boomerang, or you find the hook shot. And it's like, oh, now I go back and I can open all those doors.
Right.
And that sense of exploration, that sense of like logical progression is completely absent in Breath of the Wild. And it's there in Tears of the Kingdom, but like you said, it's like you get that power at the start of the dungeon. And then it's centered around using that ability in unique ways.
And really, God bless them, the dungeon is not really about using that power in unique ways. The dungeon is about like solving puzzles so that your friend can use their ability at a thing, right? And like each dungeon has its own gimmick, right? Like the rail cars in the fire or the water bubbles in the water, right? Like,
right.
It has that gimmick, but you're not really using like a new thing you found to make that work. The only one who really does that to like a useful extent is Tulin. And that is probably even though like it's really weird, the Wind Temple is one of the easier dungeons. I think like Fire and Lightning are actual dungeons with like puzzles and shit like that you have to really think about. Water Temple is baby's first temple.
Yeah. It's super easy.
From puzzles to boss fight, it's like, oh, this is a dungeon. You made this temple for babies.
You assumed everyone was going to want to go see Sidon first.
Yeah, so you made it the easy one. Yeah, exactly. You were wrong. It's the one I did last.
Right.
Actually, that's the one I did second to last because I kind of stumbled into the Lightning Temple.
They were wrong for me because I was like, I got to see my boy Yunobo first.
That's right.
My favorite character was Yunobo. I was special.
I had no preferences, so I just kind of started wandering, and then I found the Lightning Temple, and it turns out that's the hardest one.
Yeah, that one was a little difficult.
At least it has the hardest fight, I guess I should say. It has the hardest final boss fight, like, for sure. So it was like, oh, I fucked up. I gotta leave and come back. But, like, honestly, the temple that felt like the coolest, at least, is the Wind Temple, right? Like, the Wind Temple is just the coolest. Oh, yeah. Even though, like, the temple... It's a very interesting thing because, like, a lot of Tears of the Kingdom's temples, the actual challenge is getting to it, right?
And none of them are more challenging and more like, exciting.
And nerve-wracking.
The Wind Temple.
Yes. Because, like, after a while, there are no checkpoints.
Yeah.
There's the ground, and then there's the Wind Temple several miles in the air, and there are no checkpoints between the ground and the Wind Temple until you get to the very top.
You're looking at the floating blocks, and I'm like, I don't think I can make that.
I don't know if I can make that.
I think I went in the wrong direction. I think I'm looking at the wrong thing. Like, I think I'm supposed to go somewhere else, but I don't see anything that looks closer than that one.
Yeah, and you even start looking at it with like ascend in mind. You're like, well, can I ascend? No. What the fuck do you want from me?
I mean, I guess I can try to make it.
And it's so like it's super tense. It's really good. Like. The whole, because as you get higher and higher in the air, your grip on that controller just gets tighter and tighter, right? You're just like, please no, please no, please God no. Mm-hmm. I've been here for hours. If I fall now, I'll cry. I know that I can just reload a save, but like the sense of defeat of just falling, you know? Mm-hmm. It's intense. It was so good. And like it's the best boss fight of all the dungeons.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah, it's holy crap.
Good. It's like also easy technically, but like it's fun and cinematic instead of dumb and boring.
Yeah.
Because it's just like it's another like sky-based boss fight. So you're jumping in the air, you're shooting things out, and you're sailing around, getting kicked around. It's a great fight, right?
Yeah.
Like despite the Wind Temple being the easiest, that traversal and the fact that you rely on Tulin to like get there, right? To like really like you are extremely dependent on Tulin's traversal mechanic.
Way more than any other character, any other sage. Like Tulin's mechanic. Oh, I guess no. Riju's mechanic is probably other like Tulin and Riju are probably the two that like, you use them the most because Riju's all about like the battle, right?
Right.
Like surviving that battle. The siege on Gerudo Town. But like, yeah, using Tulin to navigate it just makes that so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so like it's tense and you're so high up and you're just like, please God, I have to be getting close, and it feels like you've been up here for days now, and eventually you make it, and it's just that huge breath of fresh air. And then like there's a dungeon afterwards, but it is nowhere near as like nerve-wracking, but like the getting there is so fun and so like you're just holding your breath so much that to finally be done with it, there's that big release of tension afterwards. That's great. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely the best dungeon in the game, which is funny because like it's not the hardest dungeon, but like just in terms of scale and interest, it's the best one.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like, and then the Shadow Temple or the Spirit Temple is like a nothing temple.
It's so dull.
It's dull. It's really boring and not very good.
It is just putting together your gunpla.
You're putting your gunpla together, and you're never gonna play with that gunpla.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like it's fine, and it has the worst boss fight in the game.
Yeah.
Sorry. But there are plenty of high points to make up for it, and like the lows are low, but they're not in hell, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, this is just kind of boring and tedious and not very good. But like when it's good, it's great.
The reason these things are so egregious is because everything else is such of a high pedigree, right? Mm-hmm. Like that it makes it stand out so much more that you have these glaring problems.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, oh, okay, this could have been done better in this like otherwise kind of immaculate super game, which is mostly what Tears of the Kingdom really is. It's like it comes as close to being like the modern immaculate super game as any game has ever been. Yeah. Right.
It's as Chris Wolfhard put it in one of their episodes recently, it's probably the only game that justifies $70.
Yeah, pretty much any other game that's come out this year has not justified its $70 price tag at all.
Yeah, no.
But like Tears of the Kingdom justifies its $70. It's genuine, like it is a technological marvel. It is beautiful, even despite it running on a phone from 2011.
Yeah, the fact that this is a Switch game.
It's a Switch game, and it's doing all of this is very impressive.
It's like, okay, no excuse.
No excuses. It's doing so much in terms of physics simulations. Like, its art style more than makes up for its technical limitations, right? It is beautiful to look at. Everything it's doing is just so fun and interesting.
The art direction in this game
is so strong.
So strong and exciting and colorful.
It's another one of those games. It's so hard to make a game that just makes you just kind of like just want to stand and look at it, right?
Yeah.
You land on a specific vista and you look out at all of it and you're just like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
There's so many things you stumble upon in the environment that make you're just like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? You see like floating orbs and giant like spheres in the sky and weird like maze, like just giant cube mazes stuck in places.
I love those like, so much.
They're so good. And you're like, what the fuck is this? Right? There's so much of that stuff in this game that is just it's all very weird and evocative and just very like the art direction itself is so cohesive. I really love the look of all the Zonai stuff. I've never seen like a lost civilization that has that kind of strange, I don't even know how to describe it, but like that kind of handmade clay look, right?
Yeah.
Like all of the jewelry pieces and stuff on Zelda's outfit. Like it's a weird kind of like very regal, but still looks handmade. It looks like it came from 10,000 years ago.
Zelda's outfit, like it's great. Like her actual like Zonai outfit is so great because it looks like it looks like she's wearing a creature's outfit, right? Like
absolutely.
the way the jewelry and like the decorations and like the accoutrement of the outfits fit the kind of goat, wolf, bird things that the Zonai are.
These weird fox goat things.
Yeah.
Good for Sonya.
Oh, she got it.
So the fucking a furry truly living her best life, right? Up to the very end. Good for her. So, you know, like, and it's just such a weird, like, to me, it feels very, like, historical. There's a lot of stuff you see in like, media that's like, this is the lost old civilization. It looks like way more advanced than anything we have now.
Yeah.
But, like, the stuff, and if you look at, like, real historical royal jewelry and dress from, like, and I mean from, like, way, way back, right? Yeah. We're not talking, like, medieval era. We're talking, like old, like, pre-Roman, pre-Greek kind of history, where we're getting into, like, the first civilizations, like your Babylons or your Sumerias and your like old, like, Indochina zones, places like that. Like, these really old civilizations have these old kind of very beautiful, but look very kind of roughly hewn, because, I mean, this was the first civilization to make this shit, right? So it all looks kind of like very roughly hewn, made out of clay and stone and, like, the metals they had available to them at the time. And it's all very beautiful, and it all has a very kind of, like, naturalistic vibe to it. I think of, like, Zelda's earrings that look like pine cones, right? Mm-hmm. And I love that stuff, because it's such a unique way to present, like, the regality of this period, but still, like, firmly establish that this is, like, the distant fucking past compared to what we have now, which is a more, like, Renaissance, like, medieval to Renaissance era, like, standard fantasy kind of setting versus, like, the distant past of this kingdom. It's really cool. It's really neat stuff, right? Also, love that by the end of Tears of the Kingdom, this is super neat. By the end of Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda and Link's colors have swapped.
Yeah,
because Link is doing, like, engineering shit, and his color is blue in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And by the end of Tears of the Kingdom, like, yes, she's wearing, like, in the last cutscene, she's back to wearing her blue outfit, but, like, the outfit that Zelda wears the whole time she's with the Zonai is green. Yeah, right?
Green and white.
It's green and white. She's wearing like Link colors, because she's doing, like, the extraordinarily courageous shit of having to turn herself into a dragon in order to, like, ensure that you know, this kingdom she loves so much has a future. Mm-hmm. I just think that's neat.
It is neat.
That's neat.
It's really cool.
That like, Link is represented by blue in this game and Zelda is green. I think that's cool.
I think it is a bold choice. I'm very surprised they did it with Breath of the Wild in this too, where it's like, yeah, no, Link's outfit is completely different than what he normally wears.
Yeah, it's very cool. Mm-hmm. I just, it's so good. It's so good. It's a great video game, even with all my little nitpicks and some legitimate criticisms.
There's so much, like, just that I think this game does right. As a few just minor things, like, I think the shrines in this game are leagues better than they were in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay. Because obviously I don't have any context.
Yeah. Way more creativity goes into them because you have so much more things that lend itself to creativity.
Right.
As much as I hate the trial shrines, they are very rewarding when you finish them.
Sure. These are more fun than, like, I assume. I know that in Breath of the Wild, the trial shrines were just fighting guardians, right?
Yeah, it was just you have a one-on-one duel with a guardian. Mm-hmm. But this one, like, it was always one of those things where, like I just kind of sat, I was like slumping in my chair, and, like, I see Link enter a shrine and he's not wearing any clothes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, god damn it.
But
okay, here we go.
Yeah, but the fun part of those shrines is that, like, to me anyways, once you get kind of the engine going, like, once you start accumulating resources and, like, you realize, like, okay, well, this is what they want me to do to solve this problem, right? Like, once you get that going, it's like, oh, this is really fun. I'm doing Metal Gear Solid shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm doing on-site procurement, right?
There are even some that are stealth-based.
Yeah, you just gotta sneak. It's so good.
Yeah, no, they are very frustrating, but they're so rewarding when you finish them. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there are so many where like, they're in this game way more than Breath of the Wild. Like, I would get to at the end of a shrine, I'm like, I didn't do that right. That wasn't what they wanted me to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where I got through a shrine, I'm just like, That was probably not the way they wanted me to do it, but a win's a win.
But even then, it's like, oh yeah, well we knew you were going to do that, so that's why we let you do it.
Yeah, of course. If they didn't want you to do it, they would have prevented you from doing it.
They would have put a wall there.
Yeah, exactly. But they're like, no, we want you to think outside the box.
But it is still like, well, here's the intended goal of doing that one. Here's what we wrote down. We designed the shrine like, well, the player will do this to get to the end. And then I figured out some other things, and it worked.
Oh, yeah. Listen, if it works, it works.
It works,
right?
Yeah.
Like, as they say, if it works and it's stupid, it's not stupid.
Yeah.
That's right.
I also really, really love how this game justifies the hearts and stamina.
Oh, yeah.
It was so cool starting with 30 hearts.
Yeah, that didn't last very long.
And then being like, oh, those are going to go away.
Yeah, that's all going away really fast. Huh?
Yeah, I love when sequels do that. When
they let you have that like very brief moment and be like, I'm so strong, I can't be killed. Yep.
Just like, or just the idea of like, well, yeah, I mean, you're very strong from the last game, but we're gonna take that from you.
Yeah, you don't get to keep that, obviously.
But I love the contextualizing it of you are removing the gloom that's infecting Link.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, instead of the first game, which is you are just making Link stronger. It's Jade from Abyss.
Yeah, absolutely. You're unlocking a puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah, you're working through the curse that you've been inflicted with.
And then of course that's really cool because that calls forward to the Ganondorf boss fight where he can just take those hearts away from you. Right? Like that's cool. He just has that. Oh, shush me. Of course, at the very end of this episode, he's going to bark at something. Yeah. It's not an episode of Gorge. Yeah. My dogs don't make an appearance. But yeah, no, it's like a call forward, I guess, to the fact that he's going to do that to you again at the end of the game when you fight him, because he just has that ability, I guess.
Yeah. This is probably the most intimidating Ganondorf has ever been.
Yeah, he can just take away all your fucking heart containers, asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just so many like little like for as many major complaints, there's so many little details of like that. Oh, you let that work. Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, you let that work. You let that slide. Yeah, absolutely.
You justified that's existence with something.
Sure, absolutely.
A lot of people pointed out very early on that like when in the beginning of the game when Link reaches for Zelda, he's reaching with his broken arm.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, of course he would, because he's the big time hero Nightman.
Yeah, he's still got to try. It's just, there's just, and I mean, like, there's so many little things we could talk about that would just be us gushing, right?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
There's the coziness of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
The kind of quiet. It's fun to be like. I know that Breath of the Wild is kind of like a slow, kind of quiet apocalypse story, right? Like
Breath of the Wild is a Samurai Jack game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like where you're just you flung into the past and everything's all fucked up, right?
You are
plugged
alone.
into the future.
Yeah,
right?
you are alone.
Yeah, and like, but this game is so like, well, hey, the princess is back and the kingdom is rebuilding, and yeah, this is fucked up, but we're all still trying to put it back together. Yeah. Right?
Their Tears of the Kingdom has their towns are a lot more robust and there's a lot more people around, so that you are just seeing people on the road. You are seeing people like as you progress in the game, more people show up at Lookout Point, and they're training or they're building things. You can do missions where you just raid enemy forts. With an arm, like a group of mercenaries.
Yeah, like a group of like guys who are just trying to go around and kill the monsters so that like they can rebuild the place where they live and make it safe and better. It's these little things that just make it feel so much more alive and hopeful and comfortable. And it's just, it's really good. It's just great. All these it's just the little teeny tiny pieces all coming together. It's greater than the sum of its parts, like I was saying. You take all of these things that some stuff doesn't work and some stuff works extremely well, but you staple it all together and it's like oh, this is something genuinely great.
Yeah. As much like I for a while I wished that you could like the sages were just with you and not their stands. Mm-hmm. But it justifies it at the very end of the game.
Because they show up. Yeah. Exactly. It's so good. The end of the game is just like this great moment of the sage's power can't reach you. Well, that may be true, but the sages themselves can just go down that hole.
Yeah. The sage's power, you cannot use the sage's powers down here, so the sages will come with you. That's
good too. Also, you got to fight all those bosses if you don't do those dungeons. I don't know how people speedrun this game.
No, I mean, like, that's just... I'm going to watch a run after this now, just like get an idea of, like, what do you fucking do?
What do you fucking do? How do you do that? And yeah, there's so much just, like, little moments of accomplishment, things that force you. Getting past the silver Lionel is, like, that's such a roadblock, but when you do get past it to get to the end of the game, you're like, I did that. I did that.
Yeah,
right?
You can take a breath and just, like, revel in your victory.
You did it. You were able to kill a silver Lionel, and that thing does not respawn, thank God.
Yeah.
And, like, there's just so much stuff like that all over the game. These little tiny moments of triumph to go along with your big moments of triumph. It's not just shrines and dungeons and big boss fights and stuff like that. There are all these little moments of getting places, of finding a cool piece of armor, and finding a cool, neat little thing, right? It's like what open world games are about. It's what a lot of open world games don't get, is that there need to be little moments of accomplishment all over the place as well, not just the big moments, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is just so good at it. The whole world design is just really great.
Yeah, it's so immaculately built.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I wish some of the rest of the game was like that, but for the most part,
it's pretty great.
It's an incredible package.
It is, I think, as close to a modern immaculate super game as any game is going to get, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's funny. Most of the time when we have these games, I kind of talk myself into not thinking they're as good as they are, right?
Right.
This is the opposite, where the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, hang on a second. Like, I think this game is, like, amazing.
It does definitely have problems, and these problems are hindrances, like severe hindrances, not just like the kind of thing where like, that's bad, but like you can ignore it and it's fine. Like, these are significant issues. But the rest of the game does so much heavy lifting to carry over. It's a lot like MGS4, but like the scales are way more imbalanced in the positive side. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely possible to tell whether or not Tears of the Kingdom is a good game or not.
That's totally it. Like, this game, even with its foibles and flaws, is still great. Yeah. And it's the only game that justifies its $70 price tag, because you'll be playing it from now until the heat death of the universe. I loved it. I can't wait for the next one. I'm gonna have to, because it's gonna be a long time before they make another one.
Yeah, unless they severely cut back on the scope of it. But
who knows? I'm just really looking forward to whatever comes next. I really am looking forward to another open world Zelda game that's a little bit more fun. Do not go bark. Do not go bark. Thank you. I'm looking forward to another open world Zelda game that does do what we said with, like, the return of Zelda trinkets, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the next step they need to take.
Also, put the Triforce back in.
Put the Triforce. It's weird that it's not in.
It's weird that it's not in here at all.
It's weird that it's not in here at all. It's just, like, the symbol of the royal family, but, like, put the Triforce back in. Guys. You
do kind of need it. It's kind of a big important thing in Zelda.
I feel like you do kind of need it. I feel like otherwise the one thing that I don't buy in this game is why Ganondorf hates Link's guts so much, right? Mm-hmm. Because, like, this game is totally divorced from the timeline, and this game does not have the Triforce, right? So there's no, like, this is just a thing that you and I have to, like, do, right?
Right.
This is like our destined fight, and we're just gonna have to do it.
It
does, and I'll do that.
It does feel like what they should have done is they should have leaned more into Ganondorf seeking a worthy challenge.
Yeah.
And after hearing about Link being this great warrior from Zelda 10,000 years ago, he should have been like, "Oh, it's you. Okay, let's do this."
Right, exactly. Like they probably should have leaned into that more.
Yeah.
Because like the way it is now, he's just like, "I hate your guts," and Link's like, "I didn't know who you are."
He should have been wanting to conquer Hyrule purely as motivation for Link. Right?
Yeah, totally.
Like cool. you better fight me and beat me. You know, it's the Team 4-Star Piccolo, "Oh, you better kill me."
Yeah, totally. I think that alone would have solved so many problems in this game. Like, or with like this, not with this game, obviously, but with like that motivation, because as it stands right now, Ganondorf's like, "I hate your guts," and Link's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
I fought like the weird monster version of you 5 years ago. Are you the same guy? Like, there's so much more you can do. Anyways, next Zelda game, good guy Ganondorf. I know,
please.
I know that Aonuma is never going to let you do it, but he's got to die eventually.
One day we're gonna get it, okay?
It's gonna happen. I'm not wishing death on Eiji Aonuma, but like, he does need to retire, bitch. He doesn't understand why people want to play as Zelda.
I don't think he's even technically like the only time I can think of, I don't even think it's through Hyrule Warriors. I think the only time Link or Ganondorf has ever been an actual ally is in Smash Brothers Brawl.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know why they don't do it. It's because they can't go back once they do it, right? Yeah. Like, you pull that trigger, it's the thing everybody on planet fucking Earth wants. Once you pull the trigger, you can never go back, right?
Right.
However, I think they should pull the trigger. It's been 40 years.
I think you can go back by explicitly stating this is a different Ganondorf going forward. Like, the villain Ganondorf is a different Ganondorf, right?
Yeah. Like, one is just like the anger and hate of like the OG Ganondorf, and this new guy is just this new guy. You
need to stab Ganondorf with the Yamato.
Right.
And give us a good Ganondorf and a bad Ganondorf.
That's right. We have Ganon and Ganondorf. It's like V and Urizen, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Like, there you go. Listen, just pull this. Listen, I just, not to get too much on my pitch podium, right? But you have the bones of a game where your party members are Zelda and Ganon.
And that's really cool.
It's like, it's right there.
You know what?
I can see it from here, right?
You know what? You don't even have to do it in mainline. If you're scared of not being able to put the genie back in the bottle, do it in a Hyrule Warriors. Do Hyrule Warriors 3, and Ganondorf works alongside Link and Zelda. I just think that you are so close to making an open world Zelda game where Zelda and Ganondorf are Donald and Goofy. Yeah. You are almost there. You can do it. You're right there. You're so close to having to being able to have your little buddies who are traveling around with you, and they do special attacks for you depending on context, right? Mm-hmm. Right now they only your little buddies running around with you only have the one context. Right. But you are so close. You can do it. I believe in you. I believe if you don't want to make Zelda playable, 1, you're insane. But 2, okay, fine, but she should at least be your party member, right? Look, they broke the seal a long time ago and made Peach playable in a lot of different things. That's right. She's getting her own game. And it looks cute and good. Yeah. So you tried giving Zelda her own game twice, and they didn't work out very well. It's time to try again. That's not your fault. Somebody else did that. It's time to try again. It's time to try again. It's been 25 years since those fucking CDI games came out, okay? You can try it again. You can have Zelda be a party member who just hangs out with you, and you can swap to her to do special moves sometimes, right? Yeah. I think you can do it.
Anyways, I think you should steal from Hi-Fi Rush. And that's how Zelda and Ganon would work in this game.
Yes!
In, like, this hypothetical video game is you press a button and they pop in to help you, right?
Yeah. That's the stuff.
That's the stuff. We're getting to the point now where it's like, more games need to be like Devil May Cry, but more games also need to be like Hi-Fi Rush.
I think whether or not a game should be like DMC or Hi-Fi Rush depends on the overall tone going in, right? Like, Zelda should be more Hi-Fi Rush. Absolutely.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
Again, you can have that one for free.
Yeah.
I won't even charge you for that one.
Make Link as stupid as Chai. Just do that. Pull that trigger.
No, because then you get the Zelda cartoon. And we already watched some of that.
I'd be kind of okay with that if they lead into Link kind of being like his cartoon.
I like him being a weird silent. I said this on Twitter. I don't think that they should give Link a voice actor, but that's because I think that they should canonize him speaking only in sign language. Because I think that would be fun and cool, right?
I think that would be very cool. I also like the idea that Link is entirely capable of talking. He just doesn't.
He just doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a mood too.
I like the idea of Link. I like the idea of Link being Silent Bob, where like he only speaks if he thinks it's going to be really important. And he's got like absolutely. A 50-50 chance of it actually mattering.
It's like Chell in Portal. She doesn't talk because she hates these people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, like Link doesn't talk because for one thing he wasn't paying attention.
No, he's thinking about rocks.
Yeah, he's thinking about how like wish I could have tried some of that rock roast.
He's like, it probably was good. I know it was like rock drugs, but like it probably tasted.
But
really
you know
good,
what?
Though, right?
They were probably really, really good.
That's why they were drugs. He's just sitting there like thinking about this vividly, and everyone's like, "Link, are you listening?"
Huh?
What? Yeah. No. Yeah.
Huh?
Totally. Mm-hmm.
That's why he keeps saying, "Hey." He's going, "Huh?"
Huh? Yeah. Exactly. Oh God. Okay.
I think I got everything.
I think I got everything out of my system. Like, everything else is just small things. The world is good. The game is pretty. I like running around. Horses are irrelevant.
Yeah. I think the best dungeon story-wise is Unobos, for sure. I think the Fire Temple is great. I think Unobo starting off as, like, a weird wrestler promo man
is very funny.
Is super hilarious. Like him starting off being a jackass, I was like, boy, Unobo, you
what did you do to my boy?
Hey, buddy, you're acting a bit different.
Things are a little different now.
I didn't put together that he was being like controlled by something.
Sure.
I was just like, oh, he got an ego on him.
I do think it's funny that they had to like violently hit Sedone with the not gay stick.
And it didn't even work. It just kind of sounds like Sedone would go, "This is my wife Yuna, and this is my boyfriend Link," right? Like, I'm very sorry to Yuna. Mm-hmm. I feel really bad for her.
I do.
Because
she has a really cute design.
He's definitely not interested in her. I'm very sorry, Yuna.
I'm so sorry.
He built a statue of Link and him. Like,
yeah, the not gay stick did not work. No. No, I'm sorry.
I also think it's very funny that it's not Teba, it's Tulin gets to be your sage.
Yeah.
They like, because like Teba was your assistant in Breath of the Wild. Like, he was the one who stood in for Rivali. Mm-hmm. And he's like, nah, I don't want to do it. Oh, I'm going to let my child do it.
I'm going to let my baby, my little guy. He's like, I've seen Tulin in Breath of the Wild. He's just a little, he's a little
chick. Yeah.
He's just a little chick. He's just a walking head with a little teeny tiny body attached to it. Now he looks like a child instead. Yeah. And it's like, good for you, buddy. What else? I love Riju. That she just visibly looks older and she looks cute now. Yeah. She's a good design. I love all the Gerudo in this game. These are the best Gerudo, hands down.
These Gerudo are so good. I don't even mind that they have like all of them are kind of implied to be boy crazy because it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I wish that I do wish that they didn't lean on the joke so hard, but fortunately the joke is extremely funny. And as we've said before, you can get away with a lot if it's funny.
It's a little bit too heavy, but it has this kind of very low key, like kind of underlying thing about Gerudo culture is that they're all kind of boy curious. is funny.
It's very funny is the thing.
It's one of the perfect, like, unintended side effects of their isolated culture.
Right. And, like, the running gag, if you help with the class where they try to, like, acclimate themselves to men, is just like, Link is not the immaculate
the
specimen of masculinity, right? And, like, these Gerudo are still just like, I can't look at him. It's a really funny joke.
It is.
It's a really funny joke. So
because it makes sense. Like, if they had been acclimated with men for a while now and they're still acting like this, that would be not good. But they're treating men like they're this kind of mystical, like, mysterious, otherworldly creature. We need to
some guys.
We need to study and learn about.
And then the camera just cuts to Link eating a rock. Yeah. He's just like, this is some really good desert rock.
Like, this is a man. And Link's like, hey.
And they're all like, oh my god, it's a man. I can't look at him.
And then they're just like writing down notes, like, man, with an arrow pointing to a little crude Link drawing.
Yeah, it's fine. This is what happens because, like, Ganondorf was sealed away for 10,000 years. So I guess they just haven't had another guy.
Yeah, you know, I guess him being sealed away kind of stopped the clock, huh?
It must have, because, like, that's the only way to describe it. Because otherwise, like, I guess there just haven't been any other Gerudo dudes born.
I guess.
So they have not had any way to make themselves familiar with it. So in that case, that joke is pretty funny. It's pretty fun. It's extremely goofy, is the thing. It's like taken to the logical conclusion. So I love it.
Yeah.
God, what else? Is there anything else I gotta get out of my system before we're done? No.
I mean, I could go on, but, like, I'd be kind of, like, scraping of, like...
I'd just be at this point, we just start telling stories of, like, what we did in the game, right?
Yeah.
Right? After a certain point, that's what it is.
It just evolves into war stories, which...
It just turns into fish stories, which are funny. But,
definitely. I have one more quick thing. Because I have a lot of Zelda amiibos from Breath of the Wild, right?
Right.
And also I just like collecting amiibos.
Sure.
So the Wind Waker Link amiibos. So every amiibo spawns a set of ingredients and then a chest with, like, a weapon or something in it, right?
Sure.
The Wind Waker Link amiibos obviously spawn fish.
Mm-hmm.
When it spawns the fish, they are alive. And they flop, they're flopping, right? But, like, you can still pick them up because you can gather them no matter what. The chest drops down and lands on them and kills them. So every time I spawn, I use the amiibo, the fish drop down, it makes, like, a little jingling sound, and then, like, the ingredients fall, and then the chest falls. So you hear the jingling, fish fall, land on the ground, they're flopping, the chest falls, and depending on where it lands, you just hear, like, 5 impact noises as it lands and kills on the fish.
Oh no! That's horrifying! It's so horrible. Oh, it's so funny though. It's okay. Oh my god. That's so funny. Okay, sure. Oh my god. It's like the fishing trawler schematic. You got that one, right?
Yeah.
It's the funniest one. It's literally just redneck dynamite fishing, but with an electric prod instead. I literally found that, like, before I went and did the final boss, I needed food, obviously.
Of course, right?
And I was like, I'll go fishing. So I made my little fishing trawler, and I just found a really long stretch of river, and it was just like, And by the time I got to the end of the river, I'm like, I got a boatload of fish.
Hopefully some of those were invasive species, or, Link's gonna have to report that to the Wild Game Authority.
Yeah. Fish and Game Authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Very funny.
Other funny,
probably the funniest video game ever made.
Other funny amiibo thing. The only besides the fish, the only other amiibo that I have that spawns meat is Urbosa.
Yeah, I bet she does.
Like Link spawns vegetables, Zelda's spawn like herbs. And so does Rivali. He only spawns herbs, but like Urbosa is like steak, whole chicken.
You need to put some muscle on your bone, little man. Yeah. The most horrifying one is that the wolf also spawns meat, which is I'm not. The first time I saw it on Twitter, I was like, oh my god, no!
Well, no, he brought it to you.
Yeah, that's one way to read it, for sure.
Because he also spawns like chicken, so like he brought it to you.
Okay.
He brought you the meat. He hunted it for you.
Thank you. That's the other thing, is give us a dog.
We should be able to pet the dog. Why can we whistle for horses? We can't pet the dog.
We can whistle for horses, but I can't pet any of those goddamn dogs in this game. What's your fucking problem?
You can feed them snacks and they'll go hunt. They'll go dig up treasure for you, though.
Which is very nice. I do appreciate that. But also, can I please pet them for being so good and digging up treasure for me? What's your fucking problem?
Can I use Ultra Hand to pet the dog?
Oh my god, could you imagine? You can pick up dogs and cats in fucking Twilight Princess, so get on it.
Yeah.
You know, like, patch the... You know, you're so busy trying to patch in item duplication glitches, or patch them out, I should say. You can also patch in a pet the dog function.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just saying. So... You know. Okay. Now for real. I think I've got everything out of my system. It's been a while since we did a 2.5 hour long just like talk about one thing episode. Mm-hmm. Zelda's worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, the other thing is we're gonna talk a lot more about it during Game of the Year.
That's right. It's gonna come up a whole lot. Please look forward to that.
When we get to the Gorges, we're gonna talk more about Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, we are. Please look forward to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Get us out of here.
Okay. Thank you to DJ Cutman for your background music. You can follow me on Twitter at The Gorge Podcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. You can email us at thegorgepodcast.gmail.com. And hey, if you want to post your fishing stories for Tears of the Kingdom, we have a Discord and a spoiler thread specifically for Tears of the Kingdom. So
it's so true.
Go join our Discord, and then you can tell us about how you caught a Bokoblin this big.
Tell us all of the unique ways you've killed Gleeoks. By the way, I already know this one. Fuck Gleeoks. I haven't killed one yet. Brutal.
Brute force is how I killed one of them.
I have not killed a single Gleeok yet. I just see them in the distance. I remember the first time I saw one, I was like, "Ooh, what's that?" And then I was dead 15 seconds later.
Mine was, "Hey, go get the horses out in this field." Okay, Gleeok. Motherfucker. All right.
Okay then.
Okay, fire arrows it is.
Okie dokie. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Fuck Gleeoks, man. No, too hard. Too hard. One day I'll get there.
But yeah, so that'll it. Yeah, fuck Gleeoks. There we go.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.